safe and secure.
A man accused of an assault which led to the death of a man outside Escape in Milton Keynes will appear at Luton Crown Court later. 25-year-old Samir Bostan has been charged with the manslaughter of Joseph Kent, who died from head injuries 2 days after the alleged assault in January. 2 other men accused of actual bodily harm against Mr Kent are due to stand trial next month. The case of a couple from Dunstable accused of selling fake bomb and drug detectors to governments around the world is coming to an end at the Old Bailey. Samuel Tree and his wife Joan made the devices at their home in Houghton Road, but defending barrister Graham Brodie QC says it's ludicrous to suggest that in middle age they'd turn to a life of crime. Our reporter Faye Southwell was in court.
He pointed out that on one occasion Mr Tree had given one of these devices to a British policeman to test, and he said that this categorically proved his client's innocence, because giving a device to a policeman to test is inconsistent, he said, with criminality. He gave it to the officer because he believed honestly, albeit mistakenly, that the device did work.
The Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt has said that surgeons who refuse to publish data about the outcome of the operations they perform should be publicly named. Mr Hunt made the threat after the Royal College of Surgeons said government plans to make the information available to patients could unfairly stigmatise consultants. A man will appear before magistrates in London later today accused of defacing a portrait of the Queen with spray paint. Tim Harries, who's 41 and from Doncaster, has been charged with causing over £5,000 of criminal damage to the painting at Westminster Abbey. In sport, England's cricketers must beat New Zealand on Sunday to reach the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy after a 7-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka at the Oval last night. Kumar Sangakkara's 134 not out helped Sri Lanka to their target of 294 with 17 balls to spare. And the weather today, sunshine and showers, top temperature 19 degrees Celsius, that's 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3counties.
Yes!
It's Friday.
She's not wrong. There's a certain Friday, despite the fact I'm working all weekend, it doesn't matter. There is a Friday feeling dans l'atmosphère. C'est fantastique. It's French. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It is Friday, but that doesn't mean we're going to give you a shoddy show. Well, no more shoddy than usual, anyway. Although last night, I know other people's dreams are boring. Indulge me for 10 seconds. Last night, I had one of those dreams, they are, where I did a full day's work. I've done this show already, and I've done everything else I'm doing in the day. And I woke up and thought, I've got to do it all again. So, you know, I approach it with a slight weariness, but a weariness filled with the joy of being at BBC Three Counties Radio and broadcasting to you, dear listener. We could see more bikes on the road if health experts get their way. They've recommended that the government spends the same sort of amount on cycling as they do in Denmark, saying it could save the NHS £1 billion a year. Well, are cyclists a menace on our roads, or would you welcome more? There's been a 4-fold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. More than 1 in 5 kids aged 10 or 11 are obese in parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks. Who's to blame for fat kids? And as Dale Cregan gets sentenced to life imprisonment, we'll be hearing about him and the criminal underworld that apparently most of us have no idea exists. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Name on it, please. But the best way, look at this. 5 minutes past 6. The phone lines are free. 08459 455 555.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Health experts have claimed that the NHS could save more than £1 billion every year if the government matched Dutch levels of spending on cycle provision. Here, nearly £1 million have been spent on an off-road cycleway linking Luton with Harpenden. But are people using it? Or are cyclists sticking to using the main roads instead? Well, this morning I'm asking, are cyclists a menace on our roads? Chris Garrison is from Trek Bicycles in Milton Keynes. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, Ian.
Is there enough provision for cyclists, do you think?
Not currently, no.
What more would you like to see?
Essentially, there's a couple things that need to happen. Number one, legislation needs to be passed that makes the rights of cyclists on the roadways more obvious to drivers. Cycle training and awareness needs to be incorporated into the current structure that we have for training drivers to obtain a driving license. And infrastructure is a simple way to create more cyclists is to develop infrastructure that provides safe avenues for them to use bikes on the roadways.
When I was a kid, and I'm detecting an accent from yours, is that Canadian?
No, it's American.
American, I apologise. So I don't know what it was like over there, but when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s, we had a cycling proficiency test that I think we did at about 10 years old, where you learnt the signs and you learnt how to behave on the road. I don't think that happens anymore.
There's bikeability training that's available in the country here that is usually offered through schools. It's certainly not something that's widespread, and it would certainly help the problem. But honestly, Ian, the issue isn't necessarily people not knowing how to ride bikes. In order to operate a bicycle safely, what you need to be able to do is balance. Whereas in order to operate a vehicle safely, you need to understand what the rules of the roads are. The laws of the roads exist because it's possible to weaponize a vehicle if you're careless and reckless. You have to be licensed. There's safety equipment that's built into cars. There's a major difference between the understanding that's required to operate a bike safely and operating a vehicle safely.
Listen, I've kind of started cycling again after not doing it for a long, long time. So my feet or my backside is sitting in both camps. There is a slight arrogance I've noticed, Chris, amongst some cyclists, though. I think we were both involved in a little Twitter rant yesterday from a gentleman called James who went, cycling, in inverted commas, debate on BBC 3CR tomorrow with Iain Lee. Probably spouting the usual rubbish about tax. So there is sometimes, he goes on a bit later on, basically he's slagging me off before he's even heard this. Some cyclists do have a little attitude problem, don't they?
I would disagree that it's an attitude problem, and I would state instead that really what he is expressing is a general frustration that whenever this debate comes up, it's always framed in the same way, and that is to suggest that there is somehow a battle being waged on the roads between one road user group and another road user group. And we don't feel that way as bike riders. We don't feel that there is an objective by motorists to basically take out another group of road users.
There are some motorists, though, aren't there, who hate cyclists. Stay there, Chris, because I'm joined now by Justin Dealey. Good morning, Justin.
Yes, hello, Ian. I've been getting reaction on this. I don't think Chris will like what she's about to hear. I've been asking motorists and lorry drivers whether cyclists are a menace on our roads, and this is what people had to say.
Yeah, they certainly are, yeah. They've only got, two wheels, but they seem to take a lot of the road up. Obviously, it's good for the environment, isn't it, really? Keeping the emissions down and all that, but, yeah, they are a pain in the backside.
Some are, some aren't. Some ignored highway code. Just do what they want. Jump lights, main one. Try and go up the inside of you. Can't see them, blind spots.
And when you see them jumping lights, does that infuriate you?
No, I just think they're idiots. Total idiots.
Yes, they are, because they take off the road up. You're all right in a car, because you can get round them easy enough, but when you're in one of these trucks, you can struggle.
I mean, should they be taken off the road full stop?
I wouldn't say taken off, but they should have more respect for wagon drivers.
Would you feel happy? If you never saw a cyclist again, would that make you feel happy?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
In fairness, Justin, that gentleman mentioning cyclists going through red lights, we've all seen it. We've all seen cars doing the same thing as well, though, haven't we?
Absolutely, we have. But I have to say, from the lorry drivers and the motorists that I spoke to late yesterday afternoon, nobody had a good word to say about cyclists. I'm just being honest. You can call it a small sample, but nobody had a good word to say about cyclists.
Chris, that seems to be the general attitude, doesn't it?
Yeah, essentially, whenever this debate comes up, the anti-cyclist group always raises the same set of objections, both of which are not factual or logical and aren't applied to other non-motorized road users. One is the myth of road tax, and the other is red light jumping.
Now, Chris, again, listen, I don't want to, because as I say, I'm in both fields here, but again, I'm getting that kind of same paranoia from you that I got from the gentleman on Twitter the other day. No one's mentioned the road tax.
Not yet.
Well, no, but no one's mentioned the road tax. You seem to be coming from a defensive, slightly aggressive point, as was James on Twitter yesterday, and there's no need.
No, what I'm saying, Ian, is that when this subject comes up, that whenever you speak to people who are, when you're looking for answers from the general public about why cyclists are, as you say, a menace on the road, the same objections are always mentioned.
But it hasn't. The road tax hasn't come up this morning. This is you see what I mean about this attitude. And also, you said that red light jumping is a myth. It does happen, doesn't it?
Sure, it happens. There are lots of cyclists who jump red lights. There's lots of pedestrians that jump red lights. There's lots of vehicles that jump red lights. It happens all the time.
Okay, but the road tax thing hasn't been mentioned this morning. So again, I do worry slightly that by having these kind of staple arguments and by saying, it always comes out like this, well, I'm hoping that we're doing a slightly different discussion this morning and the road tax hasn't been mentioned, because I know about the road tax.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that road tax has been mentioned. I'm simply saying that when this subject comes up, if you do a search on the internet for discussions about cyclists versus motorists, that generally the anti-cycling sect of the participation always mentions the same things about why cyclists are a menace on the road.
But again, I'm sorry to focus on this point. It's the last time. It hasn't come up. We're not focusing on the road tax because I know that myth. So it does seem that both you and Chris and the gentleman on Twitter, James, there's just a little bit of defensiveness when it doesn't need to be there. And maybe, just maybe, that could be part of the animosity between drivers and cyclists.
Well, I don't think that there's anything wrong with as a cyclist being defensive on the road. We have to.
No, not on the road. Not on the road. In the conversation.
Well, and part of that is because we hear the same rhetoric all the time.
But you're not, Chris. You're not hearing it now, though. That's the thing, and yet you still come in with that same argument.
I'm hearing people mention that cyclists jump red lights.
But you've not heard the road tax, which you brought up. Listen, we're going to move on because we're going around in circles, Chris. I just think that possibly the slight aggression from both sides isn't helping. And maybe everyone needs to take a step back and stop worrying about the same arguments when some of those arguments haven't been mentioned.
Well, sure, Ian. But the difference between a cyclist being aggressive and a driver being aggressive is life-threatening. I'm
not talking about on the road. I'm talking about in the conversation about cycling.
Okay, well, let's move on then and make it more positive.
We will do, Chris. That's what we're hoping to do this morning. Thank you very much. That's Chris Garrison there, who is from Trek Bicycles in Milton Keynes. Justin, can you speak to some cyclists later on today, please? Or get some voices from them, please?
Absolutely. We'll try and find some cyclists and get them live on the radio, just after 7?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Let's do it.
OK. Yeah, we can do that because we are the BBC. I'm right. Thank you. Think cyclists are a menace? Or do you welcome them with open arms? I do a little bit of both. More carring, more walking. Let's go in order. Number 1 for me is walking. Number 2 for me is carring. Number 3 for me is the cycling. So I do a little bit. We should get Paul Scoynes on. Let's wake Paul Scoynes up. He's a newly converted cyclist. Let's get his opinion on it. Do you think they're a menace? 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. All looking lovely and clear on the roads across the three counties. We've got no delays at the moment. Everything moving well along the M1 and the A1M as you head into London. And it's all looking clear on the M25 as well. Even through the roadworks section where we've got the 50 mile an hour restriction between the A1M and Enfield Junction 23 and 25. Roadworks still ongoing in High Wycombe. They're doing some electricity work along the A404 near Gerald's Road. Hoping to have it finished later today. So things could get slow through the morning rush, of course, but by this afternoon they're hoping to have the temporary traffic lights that are up on the A404 removed once again. And on the trains and tubes, it's a good service so far today with no incidents. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Nice one, Adam. Right, it's 6:17. It's Friday the 14th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. There's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. A cross-party group of senior politicians is calling for the British security services to be given greater powers to monitor the internet. In sport, England's cricketers must beat New Zealand on Sunday to reach the semis of the Champions Trophy after a 7-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka at the Oval last night. Coming up, Fat Kids, who's to blame? 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Nick Coffer, across beds, hearts and bucks.
This afternoon I'll be donning my Speedos and trying out some summer activities at the Hitchin Swimming Centre.
Nick Coffer.
I'll be getting fully kitted out to become a beekeeper, clowning around by learning some circus tricks. There'll be live music, plus I'll be learning all about a local lavender farm.
Nick Coffer.
Live from the Hitchin Swimming Centre this afternoon from midday.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, cyclists. If we spent more money on the cycling infrastructure, we could save £1 billion a year. It needs to be more like the Dutch, apparently. What do you think? Are cyclists a menace on the road? Stephen's in Sharnbrook. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun.
Good you.
Good long you. That's what I say too.
Yes, yes.
Cyclists, Stephen, are they a menace on the roads?
Definitely.
Why?
I think... Being as I am a lovely milkman and I deliver most of my stuff during the night.
Oh, you're the milkman that doesn't wash his hands after doing a wee?
Oh, shush, don't tell everybody.
OK.
They all know now.
Yes.
Well, because I go out in the dark,
yeah.
The amount of cyclists I see without any lights, front and back, is staggering, really. And they're not just on side roads, they're in the middle of the sort of main roads as well. And you got them, and then you got as one as your presenter calls them, the light-clad louts as well. They sort of think they own the road. And
what is this about? When did everybody who rides a bicycle stop wearing bicycle clips and start wearing Lycra?
I don't know. I think they look good.
They don't look good. A big fat bum squeeze into that Lycra. I can see all kinds of things popping out I don't want to see. Very ugly. But Stephen, you'll know as well that there are bad drivers who drive badly and who don't put their lights on and who jump red lights.
Oh yes, definitely there are. I mean, I'm not saying that all cyclists are bad. There are some good ones out there. And, I have come up to these groups of them, and they have moved across to their only single file. But I don't know. I think it'd be a good idea if they get more people on their bike, because that'll go on to your other subject, so get into the fat kids as well.
Well, it would. It would get rid of the fat kids, and I do think as well that we need. Listen, if I want to drive a car, I've got to take loads of lessons, and have a really tough test. I'm not saying that cyclists should have such a strict test, but they should. They should be taught. You could get a bike. You can go and get a Boris bike in London, or go and buy a bike £50 in any shop. And you can go on the road, whether you know what the road signs mean, whether you know the rules of the road, who's supposed to let who out. You don't need to know those things.
I bet if you're on the bike, they think they own the road, so they don't need to know that. But I agree with you, yes, if they should be a test, like you say, in good old days with a cycling proficiency badge.
Stephen, thank you very much indeed. People are going to think I'm on an anti-cycling rant. I'm not. There's a slight arrogance about cyclists, I think. But I'm kind of becoming one of those arrogant cyclists.
Every time you kiss me, I'm still not certain that you love me. Every time you hold me, I'm still not certain that you care. Oh, you keep on saying you really, really, really love me. Do you speak the same words to someone else when I'm not there? Suspicion torments my heart. Suspicion keeps us apart. Suspicion, why torture me? Every time you call me and tell me we should meet tomorrow, I can't help but think that you're meeting someone else tonight. Why should our romance just keep on causing me such sorrow? Why am I so doubtful whenever you are out of sight? Suspicion torments my heart. Suspicion keeps us apart. Suspicion, why torture me? Darling, if you love me, I beg you, wait a little longer. Wait until I drive all these foolish fears out of my mind. How I hope and pray that our love will keep on growing stronger. Maybe I'm suspicious, cause true love is so hard to find. Suspicion torments my heart. Suspicion keeps us apart. Suspicion, why torture me?
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio, 08459 455 555. Who's to blame for fat kids? Whose fault is it? Well, there's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. More than 1 in 5 children aged 10 or 11 are obese in parts of beds, Herts and bucks. And overall, the UK has the highest rate of child obesity in Western Europe. Well, Adele is from Buckinghamshire. She put her children on a healthy lifestyle programme for 7 to 13-year-olds after they became conscious of their weight. Morning, Adele.
Morning.
How old were your kids when they started to notice they were getting a little overweight?
Well, it sort of shocked me because they were about 7 and 9, and they started saying that they wouldn't wear their swimsuits out in front of their friends, and I was a bit shocked that it was so young that they noticed things like that.
How big were they?
Oh, they weren't massive. They had little tummies on them, and it was just a little puppy fat. It wasn't even anything I was worried about. I just thought, well, they'll grow out of it.
Would they have been classed as obese?
Well, ironically, when they said they were starting to worry, I looked on the internet and sort of looked into these things, and I found this programme. And when I rung up, they actually said, and I told them the weight and everything, they said, well, you'll be glad to know you'll be accepted because they are obese. I was like, what? So the level is quite low, but it was they had hit it, and I hadn't even really sort of worried about it, really.
Adele, I'm going to ask you a personal question. Please don't be offended. Are you fat?
No, I'm not. Like all women, we like to think so, but I would hope to say no.
Can I ask how much you weigh?
I weigh 9.5 stone.
And how tall are you?
I'm just over 5 foot.
Is that? I don't know what is that.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself fat. I would consider I would like to lose about a stone.
Okay. But it was your kids that came to you and said they were concerned.
Yeah. We were on holiday, and my older one is quite skinny, and the other two said they wouldn't, they didn't want to wear their bikini. It was a bikini outfit. The second one said, and she said, "No, I just feel really fat." And I was like, "No, come on, you're not."
Well, where did that come from? That couldn't have come from them. Was it coming from other people? What people had said to them?
I don't know, to be quite honest, where it came from. I think it was just them. They see on telly everybody's skinny. They just felt conscious of it. And I just thought, right, we're going to sort this out because I'm not having them growing up feeling like this. And in fairness, now they really did. The programme was fantastic.
What is this program? This is MEND, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's run by the government. I just got onto. I had heard about it, and I just got onto the internet and I rung them, and they were fantastic. And it was just about rethinking how you are. Because I thought to myself, you know what? If my kids are conscious of their weight, this is not their fault at this stage. This is my fault. I'm doing something wrong here.
Adele, can I say, well done to you for taking responsibility, because there will be people saying, well, it's not my fault my kids are fat. I really believe it is the fault of the parents, because you're the ones that are feeding them.
Absolutely.
Oh, well done you.
Absolutely, but it was frightening when you go on to the course and some of the parents were just like, oh, well, it's their fault, and it's not. It was absolutely my fault. I was doing all the wrong things.
What were you doing? What did the course tell you were doing wrong, and what did it suggest you change?
The main thing I learned, and I would say to everybody, is I was rewarding with food. If you did well, oh, great, come on, there you go, let's go and get a bar of chocolate, let's go and get an ice cream, or anything that they did well. My training had always been, oh, come on, we go and get a treat. We go get an ice cream. And the whole course taught me that you don't reward like that. Kids actually don't need food to reward. All they're looking for is time with you to do things. So my kids now, it's more sort of, oh, Mum, great. Oh, if we do that well, can you come on the trampoline with us? Can you do this? Can we do that? Can we go and...
Oh, God, you've not got to go on a trampoline with them, have you?
I know,
that's one of the thing. I don't know how old you are, Adele. I just turned 40. I've got a 3-year-old and a 16-month-old. Where do they get that energy from? It's constant. Daddy, let's go on the swings. Daddy, let's go on the climb. Oh, please, just go and do it yourselves. I need to sit down.
I know it is, but ironically, I mean, I keep quite fit. I run a lot. I run every day, and I exercise every day. And I actually felt quite guilty because I was conscious that I didn't. My mum is very overweight,
right.
And I was very conscious that I would never, ever happen to me. That because it's absolutely affected her whole life, and I was very conscious to keep myself fit. And then I felt really guilty, because I presumed that the kids were doing enough exercise at school and things. I never actually forced them to do it. Now I do. It is part of it. It's the one thing I don't allow that they don't do. They have to do some exercise. You want an ice cream? Fine. Come on, we'll go out on the trampoline for half an hour. And they had to understand that whatever they did in life, they had to exercise to balance out what they were eating, because they were sitting on Xboxes and Nintendos, and I was out exercising. So,
and the thing is, listen, I don't see anything wrong with video games in moderation, but kids at 7 and 9, they do have an energy, and they kind of just get out of the habit of running around and playing football and playing tennis and doing these things, and you're right to encourage them to do that.
Exactly, and we were on holiday, and they were sitting in the villa, so, I'm not going out, because I'm still too far. Pass me my Nintendo, and they were sitting playing against each other on Nintendo. I said, right, off, they're off, out into the pool, we're going to play. And it did require me to actually get up off my lounger and play volleyball in the water and that. But do you know what? It was better for me as well. Yeah. We have more time doing things, and the MEND programme was brilliant. It got us outdoors, it got us out exercising, and it trained me how to reward my kids without you.
Adele, I'm going to let you go just because the line's breaking up. I think you got your point across, and I agree. My tongue is slightly in my cheek. Yes, it is exhausting having 2 young boys. Of course it is. And part of me, after, doing this nonsense for a few hours, thinks, I just want to sit down. But going out and kicking a ball around or playing pirates in the park or whatever it is great for the kids because they keep fit and they don't get tubby. And it's great for you because you get to hang out and play pirates, which is great fun. And well done, Adele. The question this morning is, whose fault is it? Whose responsibility is it that we have obese children? I do think it's with the parents. And Adele put her hand up and said, yeah, I was doing the wrong things. Well, do you agree with that? Do you think it's the fault of the parents? Who's to blame for obese kids? 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, I got in trouble yesterday on the internet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I had as my picture on Twitter, Liam Dutton.
I did notice this, yes.
Because Liam Dutton is the gentleman who does the weather, used to do it for BBC, does it for Channel 4 now, and I've had people say to me, oh, you look like Liam Dutton, you two look similar. And apart from the fact that he's black and I'm white, that there are similarities.
Yeah, I guess so.
And so I had Liam Dutton as my picture on Twitter, right? Liam Dutton found out, right? He didn't take it in the good-humoured way that I was expecting.
Oh.
He said, oh, so you got my picture. I said, oh, yeah, I hope you don't mind. If it's a problem, I'll take it down. He replied, I don't mind for a day, but if you could change it thereafter. P.S. No tweeting about the weather. Oh! Oh, Liam Dutton owned me on the internet.
Oh, man.
I've gone right off him a little bit now. I do, a little bit. I think, have a sense of humour, mate. It's Twitter.
Bless.
He's not a mate of yours, is he?
No, he's not.
Okay, let's have the travel now, shall we?
Okay, A41 through Waddesdon. There's some roadworks at the minute around the junction with Silk Street, so they've put some temporary traffic lights up there, hoping to have the works finished later through today. The A413 in Gerrard's Cross, a lane closed for works between the Kingsway and the A40. That'll get busy later this morning because it has done all this week. Amersham and Station Road, the A416, temporary lights for electricity work as you go past London Road West. Major routes looking fine. We've still got no M25 delays. The M40, M1 looking clear on the cameras. And on the trains, well, I'm afraid we've got one cancellation on the departure boards, the 6:55 from Milton Keynes down to Euston. It was a service coming down from Coventry, and that's cancelled because a member of the train crew was unavailable. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. 6:31, News and Sport with Catherine Boyle, not Liam Dutton.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. The headlines. There's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions over the last 10 years. A cross-party group of senior politicians is calling for the British security services to be given greater powers to monitor the internet. And one of 3 men charged with murder following the death of a man attacked outside the Milton Keynes Escape in January is due to appear at Luton Crown Court later today.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's cricketers must beat New Zealand on Sunday to reach the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy after a 7-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka at the Oval last night. Kumar Sangakkara's 134 not out helped Sri Lanka to their target of 294 with 17 balls to spare. Russell Fuller reports.
Half-centuries from Cook, Trott and Root gave England an excellent platform, and even after the innings abruptly lost momentum when 4 wickets fell for 5 runs between the 46th and the 48th overs, Ravi Bopara ensured England posted a tough target by plundering 28 runs from the final over. But Kumar Sangakkara played a masterful innings full of wristy pulls, cuts and flicks to record a 15th one-day century.
In golf, Luke Donald's the leader at the US Open at 4 under par, but still has 5 holes to play of his first round due to weather delays at the Merion course near Philadelphia. Reporting from the course is our golf correspondent Iain Carter.
Donald is a notoriously slow starter in majors, but the Englishman bucked that trend with 3 birdies in a row before darkness fell last night. Now his challenge is to preserve his advantage over the toughest stretch of holes on the course. There'll be no respite when he resumes on the 14th tee. A similar scenario faces Tiger Woods, who's struggling with a sore left wrist and inconsistent putting and is at 2 over par.
Andy Murray's through to the quarter-finals at Queen's after back-to-back wins yesterday. He beat Nikola Mau and Marinko Matosevic to set up last 8 match with Benjamin Becker later today. Meanwhile here, Welling's Gosling Tennis Club held a special send-off last night for their players heading for Wimbledon in the next couple of weeks. Ed Corrie, Dave Rice, Dan Cox, Josh Sapwell and Lewis Roskilly will be playing in the seniors, singles, doubles and juniors competitions. And that's your latest news and sport. More from me at 7. You all right?
Yeah. Suppose so.
Is that where the man upset you?
Yeah.
You do look a bit like him.
I just thought I do look a bit like Liam Dutton. I just have a little sense of humour. I've just used your picture on Twitter. Don't be all stroppy about it, Liam.
He's trying to make a name for himself.
He's got one, Liam.
And Dutton. But, he's trying to own that image, his own face. How precious.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I do. It has annoyed me a little bit. I'm sure Liam Dutton is a lovely, lovely gentleman. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being. I do just think, oh, come on, mate, get a grip. Deary me. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Are cyclists a menace on the roads? Would you like to see more of them? 08459 455 555. I'm gently becoming a cyclist, although it's hard work. I've never had such painful buttocks. And this is literally just riding a mile to the shops and back. I'm so unfit. It's awful. And also coming up before 7 o'clock, Nanny Eiling. Nanny Eiling with a BBC introducing track that I think is quite tasty. I think is not too bad at all. Now, health experts have claimed the NHS could save more than £1 billion every year if the government matched Dutch levels of spending on cycling provision. Here, nearly £1 million has been spent on an off-road cycleway linking Luton with Harpenden. £1 million? But are people using it, or are cyclists sticking to using our main roads instead? Well, Chris Garrison from Trek Bicycles in Milton Keynes would welcome more cyclists on our road, but she appreciates that not everyone feels the same.
Essentially, whenever this debate comes up, the anti-cyclist group always raises the same set of objections, both of which are not factual or logical and aren't applied to other non-motorized road users. One is the myth of road tax, and the other is red light jumping.
And here's what some of you do feel about cyclists.
You've only got, two wheels, but they seem to take a lot of the road up. Obviously, it's good for the environment, isn't it, really? Keeping the emissions down and all that, but, yeah, they are a pain in the backside.
Some ignore highway code, just do what they want. Jump lights, main one. Try and go up the inside of you. Can't see them, blind spots.
To take off the road up. You're all right in a car, because you can get round them easy enough, but when you're in one of these trucks, you can struggle. They should have more respect for wagon drivers.
08459 455 555. Are cyclists a menace on our roads? Well, Ernie, are cyclists a menace?
Yeah, I believe they are.
Why is that?
Well, for a start, they don't have to have insurance like all other road users do. And if they do cause an accident, what are we supposed to do? Sue them personally for any loss of earnings or stuff like that?
I guess you probably could sue them, couldn't you? I don't know what the outcome would be if there was an accident. But they're not going to necessarily cause the big damage that crashing into another car is going to cause, is it?
Well, it can do, because you could swerve and hit a car head-on or anything like that.
Do you not think, though, that cyclists get a bit of a hard time? Yes, there are cyclists that jump red lights, and there are cyclists that are complete idiots. But there are also drivers that are idiots and break the law.
Quite agree, absolutely. When you go down a country lane and you come across cyclists riding two abreast or three abreast, and they will not get out of your way, I mean, it's so frustrating.
Oh, the two abreast thing annoys me, and they get short shrift. They get a toot on the horn for that.
Yeah, and then they turn around and give you the finger.
Well, I turn around and give them two fingers, and then we're in trouble. That's how world wars start. Ernie, thank you very much indeed. If you're a cyclist and you want to phone up and defend, the thing is, we won't get a cyclist that phones up and says, I jumped the red light. Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I? Maybe you think cyclists should be slightly above the law and should be able to jump through red lights. 08459 455 555. Jessie J. Who would have thought it?
And free, like glitter's raining on me. You're like a shot of pure gold. I think I'm about to explode. I can taste the tension like a cloud of smoke in the air. Now I'm breathing like I'm running 'cause you're taking me there. Don't you know? You spin me out of control. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio, 08459 455 555. You can also go to the Facebook page to talk about cycling. I'll give out the Facebook page address in a few minutes. But first, thieves have caused more than £4,000 worth of damage to a hospice shop in Bedfordshire. The break-in follows 2 arson attacks on the Keach Hospice shop in Kempston last year. Well, Jane Glean is Bedfordshire retail manager for Keach Hospice. Jane, what happened?
Basically, there was a break-in, and at the back door, sorry, I'm still quite distressed, but at the back door, they just smashed through the locked door, and although they didn't take very much money, it was £4,000 worth of damage to the shop. So it obviously affected the shop manager, but also the volunteers too.
And it has upset you, hasn't it?
It has upset us because we take pride in the fact that we're raising funds for a really good charity, and we're trying to, the money that we're raising is trying to offer people emotional support and to improve their life-limiting conditions, really. So,
well, listen, my dad passed away recently, and he spent a lot of time in a hospice, and you kind of have to wonder, why would anybody target a place that's raising money for people who, to make people who are dying and their families a bit more comfortable?
No, absolutely, and none of us can understand that. And I think the only thing between us, we're all so passionate about the charity that we just need to get on and continue to raise the money. So we just want the local community to be behind us.
Now, did this happen at night time? So there was no members of staff or anybody were there. So everybody is physically okay.
Yeah, everybody is physically okay. It was at night time. It was after the shop was locked up, but it was obviously distressing for the shop manager and the team to come in the morning and find, somebody coming with a crowbar, basically.
And what did they take, Jane?
Well, they didn't take very much in the way of money. We're very good from a point that we secure everything away, but we do have collection pots that are left at the till, so people give their loose change, or sometimes they donate notes, and those are the items that were taken. So
they took the collection tubs at the till?
They did, yeah, that's what they took. So it's obviously the first thing that they could find and knew that there was money, but yeah, that sickened us, I have to say.
It's pretty low, the shop has been targeted before as well with arson attacks. Why do you think a place raising money for a hospice is being targeted?
It makes absolutely no sense to us. The only thing I could possibly think is that there have been previous items on the news to say that sometimes charities are not particularly secure, but we do pride ourselves in the fact that we make sure that all our monies are locked away. So that's the only thing that I can think, is that I think maybe it's a bit of a soft touch, but it's very low.
And is the shop up and running again, or when do you hope to be open?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the next morning, Tracy and the team are absolutely fantastic, and made sure that once the back door was secure, then we were up and trading again. And, we won't let this deter us, but as I say, we just want to make sure that the community continue to support us.
So just tell people exactly where you are, Jane, so that people can come down and maybe give a few quid or buy a Leo Sayer record.
We're actually in a high street in Kempston. We're virtually opposite Sainsbury's. The people that know us, we've got quite a lot of stock outside the shop, so you can't really miss us. But we have also got 26 other shops, so we're in and around Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Milton Keynes. So please do support us.
Jane, I'm slightly speechless because of what has happened there, but listen, I wish you the best of luck and well done for getting things back up and running. They broke into a hospice shop and nicked the pots by the till where people put in their loose change. Really? Flippin' heck.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still pretty quiet out there. We haven't got too many problems going on at the minute. M40's running completely clear. Looks like it's actually quite clear from Oxford all the way down to London, so if you're joining the motorway you shouldn't have too much trouble. M25 running well even through the roadworks section, which is always a pleasant surprise at this time in the morning, and the M1 on the cameras is looking fine as well, even as you go past Luton Airport at junction 10. Roadworks in Tring. Got some works down the Tring Road, the B4009. At Stamford and the B658 closed off for works at South Hill Road. Looking through Bedford at the moment, all clear on the A6, and in St Albans the A1081 is looking pretty decent too. On the train departure boards, we've got that one cancellation, the 6:55 service from Milton Keynes down to Euston. Everything else, though, running to time. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
So Liam Dutton's really annoyed with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Right, 6:47. It's, where are we now? Friday, the 14th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The number of British children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions has quadrupled in the last decade. A cross-party group of senior politicians is calling for the British security services to be given greater powers to monitor the internet. In sport, England's Luke Donald leads the US Open at 4 under par, but still has 5 holes to play of his first round due to weather delays at the Merion course near Philadelphia. Coming up, highlight of the week for me, Nanny Eileen gets to review the BBC introducing track. But before that, let's get the latest weather with Sarah Thornton.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks very much indeed. We start with temperatures up near double figures in some of the towns, but still in single figures around 6 or 7 degrees in some spots across Beds, Hearts and Bucks. And a lot of dry weather at the moment. We could see a few showers just coming through during this morning, but on the whole, we're looking at a bright and breezy day. Certainly through this afternoon, the showers will have cleared away and we'll have some sunny breaks in the cloud here and there. When we do have them, in the best of them, it could feel quite pleasant actually, up to around 18 or 19 Celsius. So quite warm, but we will see the winds picking up too. As I say, it will be breezy. A fairly pleasant evening, I think, to come. Could break out those barbecues, and then we'll be dry through a good deal of the night, but by about dawn tomorrow we've got some rain to sweep in from the west, and that'll clear off towards the east quite nicely, but it'll keep temperatures up in double figures. So not an especially cold start tomorrow, a fairly damp one at first, but it clears away nicely, and then some sunny spells and a few scattered showers across the three counties through the day tomorrow. Again, highs of around 19 Celsius in the best of the brighter weather. And we start dry on Sunday, some good sunny spells at times, but we'll see some rain by the end of the day. So a very, very usable weekend, as we would say, Iain, across the three counties.
Would a usable weekend?
Yeah.
I've not heard that phrase before.
Oh, right, okay.
No, what? No.
It's nonsense, isn't it? It's nonsense.
It is a little bit, isn't it? But so I'm going to start using that and introducing it into the lexicon.
Well, it's just where I live in the Chilterns. I was slightly concerned about the fates. We've got a load of fates tomorrow. I'm doing like a fate round.
Well, don't be concerned, Chilterns. It's fairly usable weather. Right. Is that all right?
Exactly.
Speak to you later on. Ta-ta.
Tackling your consumer problems.
Sylvie wasn't happy with the quality of her telephone line. Kate's having problems with her leaky garage roof.
The JVS Show.
5 times they've not turned up for the appointment. I've still got the leak, which is obviously getting worse.
Fighting for your rights.
I went to speak to your telephone company and I said, look, what on earth is going on?
The JVS Show.
Have they managed to fix the problem with the internet?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. Really, it would not have happened without your intervention.
If you have a consumer problem,
we can do the same for you.
It took one phone call from yourselves, whereas I've been trying for over 6 months.
The JVS Show. Weekday mornings from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I do hope that today Jonathan is tackling the lady who had a dog carer for a week to look after her epileptic dog, and the couple where they opened a tub of paint and the bottom fell out. That I'm curious to find out what happened. I've had an email from Ian the trucker. We just spoke about a hospice charity shop that was broken into. Ian says, I work for a charity. It's a constant battle to stop thieves from stealing donated clothes from textile collection banks. Those are those big metal things, are they? That look like huge bins, and you pop the clothes in. People go and steal the clothes from there. Deary me. Well, listen, the highlight of my week is Friday at 9 o'clock when I get to go home and I'm joking. The highlight of my week is speaking to this young lady, Nanny Eileen. Good morning, Nanny Eileen.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. I hear rumours you had a bit of a late one last night.
Yes, I did, actually.
Were you having it large?
I went to my drumming circle, and then I heard that there was this brilliant film on Tuesday about stars, and I put it on iPlayer, and I sat up till 1:30 watching.
Oh, for goodness sakes, woman, you've had hardly... A film about stars?
Yes.
Do you mean stars in the sky or celebrities?
Oh, stars in the sky.
Oh, my goodness gracious me. Were you stoned or something, Nanny Eileen? Were you stoned or something? Did the drumming circles and films about stars till 1:30 in the morning?
Yes.
You're living the dream. we got to get your drumming circle in one morning, I think. No, I'm serious. We have to get... You know, we have a bit of Friday, a bit of music on a Friday.
Yes.
We should get you in one Friday with do some drumming, you and your circle.
That would be quite interesting, actually.
Now, what, are you giving me a little fob off there? Is that the brush off?
Just gently.
Just
Just gently.
Okay, we'll take that no further. Now, listen.
Yes.
Every week you come on and you review the BBC introducing tracks. Some have been brilliant. Some have been a bit ropey.
Yes.
They have been.
Yes.
The person who's responsible for that.
Yes.
Kelly Betts. Good morning, Kelly Betts.
Good morning.
Now, listen.
Hiya.
Yes, I don't want an attitude from you, young lady. She's only a teenager, Nellie Eileen. Some of the music you get for us, Kelly Betts, has been a little bit ropey.
I think it's all brilliant. Everyone's tastes are just different.
Well, everyone's taste. Some of these bands, basically, the way the BBC introducing works is it's local unsigned bands from Beds, Herts and Bucks. Some of them are excellent. Some of them I can see why they're unsigned.
They're progressing.
And we're getting them right from the very bottom. Who have we got this week, Kelly Betts? Tell us who we've got.
It's Aurelia Sky.
Right, and what's their song?
Duo from. It's called Stone Walls.
Okay, and where are they from?
Milton Keynes.
Is there a thriving music scene in Milton Keynes?
Yes, good one over there.
Okay, well, is this song going to be any good?
Yes, of course it is.
Okay, we'll have a listen, Nanny Eileen. We'll speak to you after this, okay?
Okay.
Cheers, my dears.
Tracks to see where they would go. Didn't realize that they'd leave me so alone. But down by the railway tracks there's a little townhouse. Somewhere we can go. Somewhere no one will know. Wasn't asking for someone to take my hand. You took it smiling and led me to a new land. Wasn't asking for someone to dry my tears. Wasn't asking for you, but you conquered all my fears. Now 10 years on, this house is a little run down. You can see the old stone walls laying on the ground. We tried to fix it up, make it a little better, but it seems it will not grow. It seemed to dumb hard to know. Wasn't asking for someone to take my hand, but you took it smiling and led me to a new land. Wasn't asking for someone to dry my tears. Wasn't asking for you, but you've been with me for years. And when this house is gone, they'll remember us. Not for what we did, but for who we were.
Australia, Sky, from Milton Keynes. Nanny Eileen, what did you think?
I enjoyed that.
A slight hesitancy in your voice.
I couldn't understand all her words.
Yes.
Whether it was because it was coming down the phone, I don't know.
Yeah.
I loved the beat.
Good beat.
Yes, a very good beat. I loved the music.
Nice upright bass sound in there.
Really, really was. I wish that I could have heard the words more clearly, but I did enjoy it.
Marks out of 10, Nanny Eileen.
8.
Right. Oh, I'm good. Well, I'm good. Do you know what? I'm going to usurp you this week.
Yes.
I'm giving that a 10. I thought that was the best thing we've ever played.
Really?
I thought she sounded like American country singer Alison Krauss.
Yes, I'll give you that.
That was my sound.
Yes,
that was.
It was just that I enjoyed the sound.
Yes, but you struggled with the words.
I struggled with the words. I would have liked to have heard the words.
Well, that was Aurelia. That's how you say it. Sky from Milton Keynes, and I enjoyed that. You can hear that again on BBC Introducing tomorrow.
Oh,
what are you doing this weekend, Nanny Eileen?
Not a lot, because I've done so much this week.
Yeah.
I went out and did a badger watch on Wednesday night.
Did you see any badgers?
I saw 11.
Really? Yes. I've never seen a live badger before.
Neither did I before. I was like an excited child.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh, there was a whole family there with the little ones and one with a bare bum. Oh, they were gorgeous.
A bare bum? A bare bum badger?
Yes.
There we go. Nanny Eileen, listen, we have to go. Have a lovely weekend, my dear, and I'll speak to you soon.
And you.
Take
Bye.
care. There we go. I enjoyed that song. I thought that was cracking. I'll have more of that, please.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A5 through Fenny Stratford. As you come up to all the Little Chef roundabout, they're still doing those long-term works. They're going to be adding traffic lights there. Ravens Road through Berkhamsted. Temporary lights are up at the minute around Millfield for roadworks. They're hoping to have them finished later today, so they should be gone later. If you're driving down toward London, most of the major routes still looking clear. Speed sensor's not picking up any problems at the minute, and the camera's not showing delays. So the A1M is looking good as you go through the Hatfield Tunnel down toward the M25. No M1 problems. M40 still looking pretty empty. And even the A41 is looking good as you come down from Berkhamsted toward the M25. And no M25 delays yet. Roadworks section looking clear. A1 into London, now that is starting to slow up. You've got the usual build-up of traffic on the southbound side from Stirling Corner down toward Mill Hill Circus. Trains and tubes running fine. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. Fat kids, whose fault is it? Surely it has to lie with the parents, doesn't it? And cyclists, do you embrace them or are they a menace on our roads? We'll talk about that and more after the news and sport with Catherine Boyle.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning, it's 7 o'clock. The headlines: childhood obesity quadruples, Army Chief warns against spending cuts, and Luke Donald leads at the US Open.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions over the last 10 years. In the Three Counties, Luton has the highest number of children registered obese by a GP at 22%. Hertfordshire has the area's lowest level of obesity at 14%. Adele from Buckinghamshire addressed her 7 and 9-year-olds' weight worries with the help of the government's MEND programme.
It was absolutely my fault. I was doing all the wrong things. I was rewarding with food. If you did well, oh great, come on, there you go, let's go and get a bar of chocolate, let's go and get an ice cream, or anything that they did well. My training had always been, oh come on, we go and get a treat.
A man accused of assaulting a man who later died outside the Escape in Milton Keynes will appear at Luton Crown Court later. 25-year-old Samir Boston's been charged with the manslaughter of Joseph Kent, who died from head injuries 2 days after the alleged assault in January. 2 other men accused of actual bodily harm against Mr Kent are due to stand trial next month. The case of a couple from Dunstable accused of selling fake bomb and drug detectors to governments around the world is coming to an end at the Old Bailey. Samuel Tree and his wife Joan made the devices at their home in Houghton Road, but defending barrister Graham Brodie QC says it's ludicrous to suggest that in middle age they'd turn to a life of crime. The head of the army has warned that any further spending cuts risk damaging its competence and could become quite dangerous quite quickly. The comments from the Chief of the General Staff, General Sir Peter Wall, come as the Ministry of Defence faces pressure to deliver its share of savings in the current Treasury review. The Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt has said that surgeons who refuse to publish data about the results of their operations should be publicly named. Here's our health correspondent Adam Brimelow.
In an effort to promote transparency and raise standards, Results for 9 surgical specialties and cardiology will be posted on the NHS Choices website from next month. But data protection law requires the surgeon's consent before publication, prompting fears those with most to hide will opt out. Jeremy Hunt says there can be no valid reason for this, as long as the data has been properly risk-adjusted to reflect the patients treated. He's planning to publicly name those who won't consent, but the RCS says there's a risk of mistakes damaging confidence in the whole process.
A man from South Yorkshire who was arrested for defacing a portrait of the Queen at Westminster Abbey yesterday has been charged with causing criminal damage put at more than £5,000. 41-year-old Tim Harries, an electrician from Doncaster, is due to appear before magistrates in London later this morning. In sport, Luke Donald leads golf's US Open at the Merion course near Philadelphia, but weather delays means he's yet to complete his opening round. Donald will resume today at 4 under par after 13 holes. He's a shot clear of Phil Mickelson and Adam Scott, who carded rounds of 67. The weather, sunshine and showers with a top temperature of 19 degrees Celsius, that's 66 Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3counties.
This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. What a busy show we have. Do you want to know what's coming up? Well, I'm going to tell you whether you want to know or not, and hopefully you'll be interested enough to stick around. Are cyclists a menace on our roads? We could be seeing more of them if health experts get their way, and it could, if we get more cyclists on the road, it could save the NHS £1 billion a year. Well, what do you think? Do you embrace cyclists, or do you think they're a pain in the backside? Are cyclists a menace on our roads? There's been a 4-fold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. Well, who's to blame for obese kids? And as Dale Cregan gets sentenced to life in prison, we'll find out the latest on that story. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR, or you can give me a phone call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right now, cyclists. We're talking about cycling this morning. Are they a menace on our roads? We'd see more of them if health experts get their way. They say that the NHS could save more than £1 billion every year if the government was to match Dutch levels of spending on cycle provision. Well, here, nearly £1 million has been spent on an off-road cycle way between Luton and Harpenden. But is that a good use of money? Well, our reporter, Justin Dealey, has been getting reaction. Justin, I bet you've never been on a bicycle, have you?
I have many, many years ago. I did my cycle proficiency test. It's a tongue twister, isn't it? But I did that years ago. That was great fun. And I can't remember the last time I spoke to anybody who said they'd done one of those tests before.
Well, apparently you can still do them in a couple of schools. I don't know if it's everywhere.
But why a couple? It was great fun, and I learnt something.
What's going on in the
strange to me.
There's a story happening in the background, Justin.
I've got to go. But not much support for cyclists at all. I've been asking motorists and lorry drivers whether cyclists are a menace on our roads, and here's a reminder of what they had to say.
Yeah, they certainly are, yeah. They've only got, two wheels, but they seem to take a lot of the road up. Obviously, it's good for the environment, isn't it, really? Keeping the emissions down and all that, but yeah, they are a pain in the backside.
Some are, some aren't. Some ignored highway code, just do what they want. Jump lights, main one. Try and go up the inside of you. Can't see them, blind spots.
And when you see them jumping lights, does that infuriate you?
No, I just think they're idiots. Total idiots.
Yes, they are, because to take off the road up. You're all right in a car, because you can get round them easy enough, but when you're in one of these trucks, you can struggle.
I mean, should they be taken off the road full stop?
I wouldn't say taken off, but they should have more respect for wagon drivers.
Would you feel happy? If you never saw a cyclist again, would that make you feel happy?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Well, that's motorists, Justin.
Yeah.
Did you manage to find any cyclists and get their opinion?
I did. A number of them this morning won't talk to me on the record. They said, oh, here we go again. You're just going to have a go at us. Well, that's not actually the case. The reason I'm here talking to you...
What is this attitude? We've had this from a few of the cyclists. I'm having a row with a guy on Twitter. What is this attitude?
I've got no idea. I said I'm not here to do that. I'm here to get your views. That's why I'm here. I'm not going to have a go at you. I want to get your reaction about what motorists and lorry drivers are saying about you. However, I did speak to one cyclist, that being Rob in Lewisham. I spoke to him 10 minutes ago, and here's what he had to say.
Well,
Rob, I've been talking to some motorists who would describe cyclists as idiots. Are you a menace on our roads?
No, I don't think I'm a menace. No, I'm fairly careful. So I think there are irresponsible cyclists, but there are irresponsible drivers as well. I don't see that being in a car or being on a bicycle sort of divides us, really.
Would you honestly feel safe on the roads on your bike?
No, I don't.
Why do you do it?
It's just what I'm used to. I wouldn't recommend it to other people, to be honest. People have asked me in the past, other places I've worked, how what would you say if I was going to ride a bike? And I would say, don't.
See, I find that incredible. Just lastly, what would you say to some motorists who abuse you? Because they clearly do that. We hear stories from cyclists all the time. Yeah. What's your message to them this morning?
Just kind of think twice, really, because I mean, when people do that, it does annoy you, and I know people get irrational when they get angry, and it happens to me as well. I think we all need to calm down, really.
Well, Justin, thank you for that. We're joined now by Rona Whiteman, who is a cyclist who lives in St Albans, and also Adam Rayner, who's a motoring journalist from Watford. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Ian.
Adam, we'll start with you. Are cyclists a menace on our roads?
I'm kind of with the antis on that. It's not just a menace, but it's an absolute terror for me as well. In my opinion, I'm kind of like the oil and water, and I'm on the record so often having a bit of an anti here. There's even some blog on the internet having a right old go at me, largely for being such a fat and corpulent anti. But personally, I wouldn't be at all upset if I never had to meet Moon Monkey on two wheels out there ever again.
Why are you so anti-cycling?
Well, it's not just the sort of the scofflaw thing that some of them do, and the fact that they vary from some idiot child on a BMX through to the self-righteous person in the Lycra, but it's just the fact that if anything ever happens, the consequences are always so just grotesque for the cyclist, and no matter what your feelings are, you can end up with the most horrendous, awful experiences on your lifeline that you have to relive because of somebody else's foolishness or whatever else it is. If you meet them the worst way, the consequences are just horrible.
But is it necessarily the cyclist's fault? Quite often, the accidents involving cyclists are because car and lorry drivers are driving so badly.
Well, yeah, the oldest sort of statement in the book about it is, "I'm sorry, officer, I just didn't see him." And there have been public information films. The one I grew up with was some bloke in a polo neck top moving his hands around. Think once, think twice, think bonk was how they actually remembered it. Think bike. But the latest ones are really sort of shockers. It's there's a chap sort of driving about and it's very tightly cut, and he looks up and suddenly blam, and it really does get you. You just didn't see them. But as I say, it's not normally the motorist who's going to suffer physically, except that, as I say, what can happen to cyclists, just any contact at all.
Well, let's speak to stay there, Adam. Let's speak to Rona. Rona, you're a menace on our roads.
I think there's a bit of sort of, I'm perhaps the silent majority and almost the unseen majority, because I think there's an awful lot of cyclists out there who you're just not seeing because they're not causing any problems. You notice the red light runners. The comments that you played earlier about cyclists, I totally agree with, but actually an awful lot of them describe motoring behaviour as well. So I don't think it's actually representative what's being said by and large.
Rona, you don't drive, you just cycle.
No, I do drive.
You do drive?
I've had a driving licence for many, many years. But I don't have a car. Because I found cycling was a preferable way to get about.
Do you feel safe on the roads, Rona?
Mostly, but not all the time. There's some roads which obviously I do avoid. I've had instances, again, in the clips, you have people, I've been spat at, I've had things thrown at me, I've had rude words shouted
Why have you been spat at?
Yeah.
Why? What were you doing?
Nothing.
Come on, Rona, you say you were doing nothing. You must have been doing something to be spat at.
No, there's again, a minority. I'm not suggesting that all young men in motor vehicles spit at people, but obviously one or two of them do.
No. Adam, we often hear, don't we, the argument about cyclists jumping through red lights, but just as many cars do that, don't they?
Oh, God, no. There's, apart from anything else, we've all got a number plate on the back, and there are these cameras about the place, whether they're static or got somebody at the council sitting up there like a vulture watching you. It's just not the same thing. The scofflaw is a term coined in New York for people who ignore parking fines, but it's something that we could use for cyclists. There's an awful lot of them that simply realise they're simply not going to get penalised, and thus absolutely disregard every regulation there is, right up to the point where in some parts of the nation we've got situations, certainly in London now and again, where some one-way streets are just, well, whatever, cyclists can go anywhere they like, so why bother even calling it illegal anymore? You can be going up a one-way street and find a bike coming the other way.
He does make a good point, doesn't he, Rona? I saw a cyclist going the wrong way up a one-way street last week, and cyclists, a lot of cyclists, not you, but a lot of them do think they are above the law.
I don't really think there's any justification for that at all, actually. You know, again, you see the bike salmon, they're called, and I strongly disapprove of that.
But do you not see it? I see it quite a lot.
But you're not seeing the hundreds of cyclists that aren't doing that. You don't see them doing that, and so you're not taking account of that. So you see the transgressors, but you don't see the people who are behaving quite normally, getting on very well in the traffic, and not causing any problems at all. And the number of drivers you see running red lights, I would say, is much more than the number of cyclists.
Would you really? I would, as someone who's kind of, I'm more of a driver than a cyclist, but I do a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. I would say I've seen more cyclists jumping red lights, particularly in big towns.
I don't think it's unique to cycling, and
okay.
I do not support red light jumping. It's a nuisance. It's dangerous. It isn't necessary, but I certainly see an awful lot of cars coming through and. Mobile phones, of course.
Of course. I've seen cyclists using mobile phones as well. What about the argument, Rhoda, that cyclists should be insured?
Well, very many cyclists are insured. If they belong to a cycling organisation, they do carry some insurance. But cyclists aren't causing the problem that they need to be insured for. They really aren't.
Well, some of them are, though. And listen, please don't take this the wrong way, but which means I'm going to say something a little bit rude, of course. But there is a certain arrogance from some cyclists who, oh no, it's not us. But I would be very surprised if there was more than 5% of cyclists who have insurance.
Well, it's not something I have any idea about, but as I say, it's not cyclists and pedestrians who are dishing out the death and injury on the road.
But they can sometimes be responsible for those accidents by pulling out when they're not supposed to, or by jumping red lights. Listen, we're running out of time. Adam, final word to you.
Well, my main thing is, whatever one thinks of them and so forth, it really comes down to just do try to look out. That whole thing, think once, think twice, think bike, it does matter. Even in slow traffic, this horrible thing that I witnessed happened in a very, very slow little queue of cars. I ended up phoning my mum or the nurse lady and asking her what I'd seen, and she said that I'd witnessed somebody being brain damaged, so no matter what, just look out for them, because, gosh help them, I just don't want to meet them the worst way.
Adam Rayner, motoring journalist, and Rona Whiteman, who is a cyclist, thank you very much. Well, you've heard both sides. 08459 455 555. Are cyclists a menace? There is a slight, and there is no way of saying this without being rude, so I'm going to say there is a slight arrogance and sense of superiority from some cyclists. Oh, no, it's cars that do it more often than not. I have seen, particularly in London, when I used to work in London, more cyclists jumping red lights than cars. You'd see it occasionally, cars, sometimes buses, sometimes lorries, but you could be sat at red lights and just have loads of cyclists, going straight through. And I would be I think I'm being generous as well by saying that 5% of cyclists will have insurance. I don't know any cyclist that's got insurance. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Things starting to slow up now on the M25 anti-clockwise. You've got traffic getting quite busy from Waltham Abbey at junction 26 round to Enfield at junction 25. So that's on the approach to the roadwork section where you've got the 50 mile an hour speed restriction through toward the A1M. It's definitely looking busy as you go past Potter's Bar as well. Then it clears up for a bit before slowing again from roughly junction 17 at Maple Cross, down to 16 at the M40. Routes into and out of London, well, at the moment, most of them are looking fine. Certainly the M40 and then the A40 is looking pretty clear. There are no delays if you're continuing on the M1 toward London. A little bit slow on the A1. Usual queue of traffic starting to build up from Stirling Corner down toward Mill Hill Circus. As for the trains and tubes this morning, we haven't had any major issues, and on the departure boards, I think almost everything running to time. We've got one cancellation, I'm afraid. 7:33 service from Hertford North to Moorgate. That's been cancelled because of a member of the train crew being unavailable. There we go.
Oh, for goodness.
I know. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. How can they... He's unavailable. How can they not have someone standing by? Steve, Tony's not turned up. Can you go and do that train? That's all you need. It's obvious, isn't it? Bit ranty today, have you noticed? A little bit ranty. Morning, it's 7:17. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. There's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. A cross-party group of senior politicians is calling for the British security services to be given greater powers to monitor the internet. In sport, England's cricketers must beat New Zealand on Sunday to reach the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy after a 7-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka at the Oval last night. Coming up, Fat Kids. Whose fault is it? 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every Saturday morning from 9, we play your favourite musical memories.
Chris, we have Helen Shapiro lined up for you. Why Helen Shapiro?
She came to our church a couple of years ago to do a gospel concert. Absolute dynamite.
Plus the songs you haven't heard for years.
I was married in 1969. I believe it came out in 1969.
Nick in Hitchin says, Justin Wired for sound. What a guilty pleasure.
And this weekend,
they'll be playing the UK and American charts from the 15th of June 1964. And
nice
speaking
one.
to Mark Keegan for Complete Madness.
Super.
Justin Dealey. Every Saturday morning from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Oh, nuts, my microphone is open. That'll be a good listen. Yeah, I'll be listening to that. Justin Dealey's got his own show. Well done, Justin. It really is. It just proves that anybody can succeed in this industry. Who's to blame for obese kids? There's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. More than 1 in 5 children aged 10 or 11 are obese in parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks. The highest figure, 22%, is in Luton, which is above the national average. Well, chairman of the Child Growth Foundation and spokesman of the National Obesity Forum, Tam Fry, joins me now. Morning, Tam.
Good morning to you.
Tam, are you surprised by this?
No. We've been anticipating this kind of thing, perhaps not in quite such big numbers, but it's been on the cards for the last 10 years. We are steadily progressing towards doomsday, and by that I mean that the population of this country will be around 60% overweight and obese by the year 2050. This was predicted in 2007. The government agreed with the prediction, but has consciously not done very much about it, and we are reaping the rewards of the inaction.
It's the fault of the parents, isn't it?
The parents obviously have to take some part of the responsibility, but I'm afraid I'm on the side of the parents. They have, the majority of them, done very well, but there's a significant number of parents who are really very short on parenting skills. They really don't know how to look after their children or raise their children. Those are the children who we are starting to see in these figures. And until something serious is done about education in schools, about how to raise children, I'm afraid we will continue in this way.
But I understand what you're saying, but surely it's obvious that you do not give... If you give kids burgers and chips every single day, or if you give, an 8-year-old the same amount of food that mum and dad are getting, they're going to get fat.
They're going to certainly be putting on weight unless they actually exercise to take it off. And that's the other half of the equation. We have to acknowledge, and I think it's in the news today, that physical activity is on the down. We're not getting the kind of Olympic legacy which we had all longed for. And the other thing is that you have to remember that parents see their children from the moment they come back from school, having sent them off in the morning. What children eat during the period when they're going to and from school is also part of the disaster, because children are children, they go in with their mates, they eat the biscuits and the ice creams and the sticky stuff on their way back from school at the corner shops, and the parents have no real control over that.
What would you say to parents, Tam, of children who may be obese or maybe starting to get obese?
I would, tough love, I would say you've got to get a grip on these children. You've got to ensure that you feed them well and that they start to understand that healthy food actually does taste well. You're going to have to ban them from fizzy drinks, because fizzy drinks is one of the real killers. There is so much sugar in fizzy drinks that it really is ruinous, not only to the children's health, but also to their teeth. And you've got to ensure that they exercise. You go on exercise with them. You make them exercise rather than lolling around in their bedrooms watching TV.
When you mention the E word, though, people immediately think, oh, tracksuits, oh, gyms, oh, lifting. It's not. When it's kids, it's going down the park. It's going to play football. It's going on that climbing frame. It's going to play tennis. It's all those things that kids naturally enjoy.
That is absolutely correct. But unfortunately, there's too few of this, you may live in an area where there are all these things, but I have to tell you, in the inner cities, where, of course, the problem is at its worst, they are sparse. And the problem about where they are is also interesting, because they could be half a mile down the road, and parents are very unwilling to let their children go out now because of the car situation, and there is always the lurking stranger's danger, which they worry about.
Which is a little bit overplayed, isn't it? I don't think the number of paedophiles has necessarily increased in the 70s. But we were talking about letting kids out yesterday, and I can see why people will be concerned.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And in fact, it's more myth than reality. But unfortunately, it only takes one or two cases to be hitting the headlines, and parents, all of them, will reluctantly say, I'm sorry, I'd love to let you go out alone, but I can't come with you. What happens then? The child goes into the bedroom, plays with a Game Boy, watches television, and doesn't have the kind of activity it should.
We're talking about cycling as well today, Tam, and that has changed. In the 70s, I was allowed off on my bike when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And again, you talk about kids living in inner cities and the number of cars on the road increasing. You don't see kids out on their bikes.
That is true. And it is dangerous, and I mean particularly, as you know, I'm talking to you from London, where we have a tragic number of cycling accidents with the inability to have road sense, both on the part of the cyclists but also on part of the motorists. And again, that hits the headlines, and again, parents say, no, not for you, Johnny, you will walk. And of course, walking, we come back to the vicious cycle. You can't let them out on their own.
Tam, nice to talk to you again. That's Tam Fry, who is spokesperson of the National Obesity Forum. Whose fault is it for fat kids? I kind of have to put it squarely on the parents. Listen, you know, if you give your kids McDonald's or Burger King or KFC every other day, and then you give them a Mars bar, and then they have a sneaky ice cream, they're going to get fat. They're going to get fat. That's how it works. If you start them at a young age eating fruit and vegetables, guess what? They like fruit and vegetables. If you start them from a toddler, oh, look, try this, here's a little bit of lettuce, here's a tomato. Oh, look, here's what other things are good for you? I think those are the only things I can remember, lettuce and tomatoes, that's it. Though there's apples and there's bananas, and you give them a bit of kiwi fruit, and then you try, of course they'll like it. If you introduce them too late, oh, what's that? I don't like it. I don't want to eat that. I don't know what it is. Parents, if you've got fat kids, it's your fault. 08459 455 555. We're asking about cyclists. Are they a menace? Are they? Shirley in Milton Keynes says, cyclists are a menace on the pavements. I've nearly been hit a few times. Cyclists are a danger to themselves and others. The majority refuse to abide by the rules of the road. Cycling is great for health, etc., but our roads are not designed to cope. Mike in Hart says, some motorists should be taken off the road. They've no respect for pedestrians, cyclists and even the road. And Andy says, if you see a cyclist on the road and you're driving, surely they are classed as a hazard, so you can drive with caution as you pass them. If you can't pass them, then you drive giving enough distance, as the Highway Code explains. They have just as much rights on the road. I think the problem is drivers believe they own the road. Shall we look at the front pages? Oh no, Rupert Murdoch has split up with his wife, who saved his life from a custard pie. Things must have been tense since then. But it could have drawn them closer together. If anything, it's torn them apart. Rupert Murdoch, the News Corporation boss, Rupert Murdoch, has filed for divorce from his Chinese-born wife, Wendy Deng, citing irretrievable breakdowns of their marriage. And the fact that she's young and hot and he's old and wrinkly. That could be part of it. That may be part of it. Yes, he's a multi-billionaire, but she is young and hot, he is old and wrinkly. Life for worst police killing in a generation. Dale Cregan lured officers to deaths in case that exposed city's brutal underworld. And here's something. Look, the man who will be king. No, not that. Ignore that. There's the picture of that was vandalised last night of the Queen. Okay, a man said to have links to Fathers for Justice arrested after a portrait of the Queen is defaced in Westminster Abbey. Listen, vandalism of art is a bad thing. It's a naughty thing. But kind of part of me thinks, yeah, and if I was not able to see my kids, right, for whatever reason, I don't know this gentleman's situation, well, I would do anything that would draw attention to that. I would draw anything that would draw attention to that. But we can't begin to imagine how, and I don't know this gentleman's situation, so I'm hypothesising slightly. Apologies if I've got this wrong. But you can't imagine how painful it must be not being allowed to see your children. Can I see the kids? No. And you go through legal routes and you go through these different ways of doing it, and you can't do it. So what do? Vandalise a picture of the Queen? Possibly not the best way of doing it, but certainly a great way of drawing attention to the situation. He'll probably go to prison for that. That's how desperate I'm assuming this gentleman is. I'm filling in some of the blanks in this story. It may turn out it's just some nut job. But I don't... In the great scheme of things, you vandalise a picture of the monarch. The Independent. They've got divorced again, the old gentleman and the attractive younger lady. What Olympic legacy, says the Independent. Fewer people playing sport than a year ago. Significantly fewer people in England are now playing sport regularly than before the Olympics. And the Daily Telegraph, we'll do the rest of it later on. There's Wendy Deng. Whoop-woo. Whoop-woo. She's single, lads, and she's divorcing a man worth £11 billion. What can I say? Apart from the vaguely sexist and slightly dated whoop-woo.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A bit slow through Welham Green this morning. The A1000 on the southbound side looking busy between Wild Hill Road and the B157 Shepherd's Way. If you're using the A10 as your route of choice, at the minute it's looking actually quite good through Cheshunt, but once you get beyond the M25 and drive in toward Enfield, there are some delays between Bullsmore Lane and Southbury Road on the cameras around there. M25 anti-clockwise building up from Waltham Abbey to Enfield, going into the roadworks section anti-clockwise. As you continue round Potters Bar to the A1M through the roadworks is looking busy as well, and then from Maple Cross to the M40 there's a patch of slow moving traffic. If the A1 is your route into London, usual queues southbound through Borehamwood from Stirling Corner. It's looking very slow around there. Everything else though looking pretty decent on the roads. As for the rails, well, not many problems at present. Everything broadly running to timetable and no issues on the tubes. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. With the 7:30 headlines, I'm Catherine Boyle. There's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions over the last 10 years. The man accused of causing the death of 24-year-old Joseph Kent in Milton Keynes in January will appear at Luton Crown Court today, and the head of the army has warned that any further spending cuts risk damaging its competence and could become quite dangerous quite quickly.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A 7-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka in the Champions Trophy at the Oval last night means England's cricketers need to win their final group match against New Zealand on Sunday to reach the semi-finals. Chasing 294 and unbeaten 134 from Kumar Sangakkara helped to see Sri Lanka home with 17 balls to spare. Victory on Sunday will guarantee progress for Alistair Cook's side, although a no result due to rain in Cardiff could mean that England are eliminated.
Sometimes things go against you with the weather, and we can't control it if that happens, but who knows with the British weather. To say I was going to have them 3 days, I don't get it right, is very unusual. So, we're hoping for obviously a dry day, and it's still in our hands. In fact, if you win, you're through.
Tennis, and Andy Murray plays Benjamin Becker this afternoon in the quarterfinals of the grass court event at Queen's. Looking ahead to today's action is our tennis correspondent Jonathan Overend.
After a day of doubling up to get back on schedule, it's normality for Murray today. A single match in the quarterfinals with Benjamin Becker, who served strongly and reached the final in Nottingham last week, his opponent. After a disruptive start to the tournament with horribly windy and cold conditions, the schedule at least is back on track, and the last 8 has a heavyweight feel. Joe Wilfried Tsonga is Murray's possible semi-final opponent, while take your pick from the other half, where defending champion Marin Cilic is joined by former Wimbledon finalist Thomas Berdych, a past world number 1 in Leighton Hewitt, and the 2009 US Open champion Juan Martín del Potro.
And last night, Welling's Gosling Tennis Club held a special send-off for their players heading for Wimbledon. Ed Corrie, Dave Rice, Dan Cox, Josh Sapwell and Lewis Roskilly will be playing in the seniors, singles, doubles and juniors competitions. And that's your latest news and sport. I'll be back with more at 8 o'clock.
We got a tennis correspondent!
We have.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
When did we get a tennis correspondent? That's so exciting. Yeah, but a tennis correspondent? 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Now, Dale Cregan, the man who shot dead 2 police women in Greater Manchester, is pictured on the front page of several of this morning's newspapers. Jailed for life, the headline in the Eye. The Miracles Cregan, the savage. The Sun says he held a couple hostage by putting a grenade on the mantelpiece and telling them, shut up or you die. Well, he's obviously a thoroughly unpleasant chap. Our reporter, James Alexander, is here. Morning, James. What more can you tell us on the story, about the story on the front page of the Mail that's linked to the Cregan case? Criminals in prison van crash sue for whiplash.
Yeah, this was a crash that happened on the way to court. There were 10 defendants on trial on related charges, and every morning the prison vans carrying them travelled in a convoy up the motorway. Now, last month, 2 of those vans bumped into each other. No one had to go to hospital, but we understand 3 of those prisoners are now claiming compensation for whiplash and also hurt feelings. Because they thought the van was being attacked by gangland rivals. Dale Cregan isn't claiming, because he wasn't injured, but Damien Gorman, convicted of murder with him, is apparently making a claim. And Iain, he could get up to £2,500 compensation funded by the taxpayer.
Well, that's incredible. We'll certainly be following that. The Cregan trial lasted for 4 months. At the end of it, James, are we any wiser as to why he targeted the police and also handed himself in?
No, because Cregan didn't give evidence at his trial, so we never heard from him. The only thing he's ever said about his motive was when he gave himself up, he said, you were hounding my family, so I took it out on you. Now, the reason police were, in his words, hounding his family was because Cregan was wanted over the murders of father and son David and Mark Short in a gangland feud that led to the killings of those 2 police officers.
One of the things I find incredible about this is Cregan's use of military hand grenades, or his pineapples, as I believe he called them. Where on earth did he get them from?
Yeah, there is something especially shocking about military grenades being used on suburban streets in broad daylight. These probably made their way out of the former Yugoslavia after the Balkans wars of the 90s. Cregan apparently got them in Holland, and just last week another 10 grenades thought to belong to Cregan were found hidden in a storm drain, and police say they are concerned more weapons like this may still be on the streets. This is the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester, Sir Peter Fahy.
We are seeing a lot of military level weaponry
brought into the country. Some of this, is from conflicts abroad, and that is why we still need to treat that as an absolute priority in terms of trying to find those weapons and seizing them.
So police clearly worried about military weapons from abroad getting into the hands of criminals here.
The police have been criticised, haven't they, for not catching Cregan before he killed 2 of their officers. Could they have done any more?
Well, Cregan was arrested just after his first murder, but released because of lack of evidence, and he then went on the run and, as we now know, killed 3 more victims. But detectives say they did everything possible to try and find him. They even offered £50,000 in used banknotes, but it seems people were so frightened of Dale Cregan, no one wanted to turn him in.
The Guardian says this case exposes Manchester's brutal underworld. Is Cregan the tip of the iceberg?
Well, this is the worry. You have this whole other world we were hearing about in courts, a world where a wrong look in a pub can lead to fights, kneecappings, and even murder. And Dale Cregan obviously enjoyed this hard man image. He liked the fact his one eye made him look menacing. He made thousands of pounds a week drug dealing. He carried wads of money. He drove a flash car. We hear even in Strangeways prison, some prisoners see him almost as a hero because he murdered police officers. The question now is, does this turf war end with Cregan behind bars, or does the tit-for-tat violence carry on?
James Alexander, thank you very much.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So are cyclists a menace on the road? If we spent a bit more money encouraging people to cycle and do things like that, then we could save £1 billion a year for the NHS. Be like the Dutch. That's what we should say. Apparently, look, I've been shown there's at Cycle Hatred. There's a Twitter feed that's about what's being followed by Paul Scoins. Let's have a look. It apparently. I'm a cyclist retweeting the constant stream of tweets that illustrate people's crazy, ill-informed and frankly terrifying views of cyclists. OK, we'll have a little look at that a bit later on. Philip's in Bletchley. Morning, Philip.
Morning, Ian.
The cyclists, are they a menace?
Well, the one this morning I saw, which is not unusual on the dual carriageway on the A5D, decided that he'd have the whole left-hand lane to himself.
Oh.
Now, that is so dangerous. There is actually a white line here, and as you know, you've got the dual carriageway, a white line, then a little bit for the cyclist all the way along there, but he wasn't going to have that. He was going to get in his own lane with all his bright gear on and everything else, making out he's in a race. You see him every day.
The argument we've heard from cyclists, Philip, is that gentlemen like that are in the minority and there are just as many, if not more, drivers who are bad.
No, I thoroughly disagree. I mean, I do about 600-700 mile a week, and I see it more and more. Weekends is even worse when you get a bunch of them going down the road. They're all talking to each other, having a drink out their bottles, and you go and get by them.
It does. I wonder what they have in those bottles. It does annoy me when the bunches, and there's 2, sometimes 3 abreast. I thought that was illegal to be 2 abreast.
Well, I thought they would be. I think they think they're in a race or something, but it does make you wonder what they've got in them bottles. The way they're waving all over the place, is unbelievable. But I honestly believe that they should all have insurance. I'm not saying there's bad car drivers, because there is, but the one thing that really annoys me is when they come to something like a pothole in the road and decide just to swerve around it.
Well, no, hang on a second. They're allowed to swerve around. They can't go over the pothole. They could. The bike could be ruined, or they could be thrown off.
Well, then they're going to kill themselves without looking behind them. The same on a motorbike. I've drove motorbikes for years.
Yeah.
And you are aware of what happens. And if you get too close to drain holes and things like that,
yes,
then, you're going to have a problem.
But if there's a pothole that suddenly appears in front of you in the road and you're on your cycle, what do you suggest they do?
Fair play. No, I understand what you're going to say, yeah, and I do. I mean, I was always aware of what was in front of me. Yeah. I mean, you can see them, but they're point taken. I mean, I've been over a pothole in a motorbike.
It's not good.
Almost.
The thing that gets me, and you see drivers doing both these things, but cyclists, when they've got their Walkman headphones in, or they're on the telephone. I've had a tweet from Scott who says, I text... I write tweets and text on my phone when I'm riding my bicycle. I'm really good at it.
What a goon. Hey, what an absolute goon.
Complete and utter goon. Philip in Bletchley, thank you very much indeed. Honestly, I've had a tweet saying that I write texts. Let me get it. Hang on a second. Let's read this text from this goon. I tweet and text whilst riding my bike on the road. I'm changing a word here. I'm flipping good at it too. A goon. April's in Luton. Morning, April.
Good morning.
Cyclists, they're a menace on the road, apparently.
No.
No?
There are more car drivers on the road, so there are more car drivers committing offences.
Sorry?
There are some cyclists committing offences, but they are entitled to use the road. As a cyclist, a motorcyclist and a car driver, I see it every day when cyclists are cut up or abused on the road. It is out of order.
Cyclists, I often see cyclists on the pavement.
They shouldn't be on the pavement.
No. I often see...
Unless it's a dual pavement. You get those pavements which are cut half in half. Half of it's pavement, half of it's cycleway.
Yes, they're allowed on those. I see more cyclists going through red lights than I do cars.
I've caught drivers going through red lights.
I've seen drivers doing it. I've seen more cyclists doing it.
No, I've seen more car drivers use it, and I've given that video evidence to the police.
Oh, look at you little grass. Listen, if anyone does it, it's very naughty.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
But you can't honestly say, April, I can be at a traffic lights and the car in front of me goes through the red light, but then 4 or 5 cyclists will go through that red light.
Then shame on them.
Where are you?
In Luton.
Where in Luton? It's very breath. Are you being very breathy there?
I'm being very frustrated.
Oh, are you frustrated? What can we do to ease your frustration, April?
I think all car drivers should spend a year completely on a cycle.
Wow.
And then a year completely on a motorcycle.
Oh, God,
and
no.
then get behind a wheel of a car.
I don't like motorcycles. I don't want to go. Don't make me go on a motorcycle. I've been on one before and I didn't like it.
Didn't you?
No, I went on one of those.
Too fast for you.
It did go too fast. I've been on one a few times as a passenger. Don't laugh at me. With those, you get those taxi bikes.
Oh yeah, okay, they're scary.
They are, and they're often driven by ex-coppers. And I was on the back of one years ago. When I used to do TV, they'd sometimes get them for me to get between jobs. I was on the back of one years ago, and the copper said, "Do you want to go really fast?" Ex-copper. Do you want to go fast? I was like, yeah, okay. Do you want to go really fast? Yeah, okay. We went 100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour on a motorbike. It was absolutely... I went, this is great. Can we stop now, please? It was horrible.
No, the motorcycles are fine.
They're not. April, nice to talk to you.
No problem.
Have we got rid of some of your frustration?
Yeah, I just wish people would stop giving the road tax thing, because road tax is based on how much pollution you create, and cyclists don't create any.
April, can I just say, listen... No one has mentioned the road tax argument this morning.
They have on your Facebook.
They've done it on the Facebook. They've not done it on the show. We had Trek Bicycle is harassing me on Twitter. We had this idiot last night banging on at me on Twitter about people are going to mention the road tax. No one's mentioned the road tax on the radio. You see, we are this morning. This is what you get with the Iain Lee Show. We are bringing a well-formed, intelligent debate, aren't we? Huh? Who'd have thought that? Have a nice weekend.
No problem.
We are. Who'd have thought it? A well-formed... I don't know why she was laughing at that. That's what we're doing. A well-formed, intelligent, balanced debate. And no one on this show has mentioned the road tax. Some of the Facebook people have. Look, Peter says, make cyclists pay then like car drivers do, plus insurance. Why should the taxpayer pick up yet another bill for cyclists, most of whom are irresponsible and cause accidents in the first place? The thing I'm spotting is, right, that there are two camps. There are very few people who seem to be able to straddle both camps as well as I am doing. The people who use cycles the most hate drivers, and they spot all of the inadequacies and all of the law breaking and all of the rule breaking that drivers do, but they don't spot their own inadequacies. The drivers spot the cyclists' inadequacies, but won't acknowledge that perhaps drivers are doing something wrong. That's kind of what I've picked up this morning. Because April there would not acknowledge that perhaps more cyclists jump through red lights than cars. And they do. They do. Drivers do go through red lights, but it's more... I have been sat at traffic lights, 4 or 5 cyclists have gone through. Stevie says, make them take cycling proficiency tests before being allowed out onto the main road. I do agree with what April was saying. The motorists should perhaps be encouraged to go out on cycles. Not for a year, you'd be exhausted. Maybe for a week. They have to use cycles to see what it's like. I'll vote for that. 08459 455 555. Are cyclists a menace on the roads?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Getting quite slow on the M25, anti-clockwise, busy from Waltham Abbey to Enfield as you go into the roadworks. Then through the works, it's slow past Potter's Bar with maybe 10 or 15 minutes worth of delays. And it's also busy continuing round anti-clockwise from Maple Cross to the M40. A10, well, through Cheshunt it's doing OK. Through Enfield, though, other side of the M25 in toward London, on that southbound side, you've got slow-moving traffic from Bullsmore Lane to Southbury Road. And the A1 through Boreham Wood is queuing southbound past Stirling Corner. Speed sensors picking up a little bit of slow-moving traffic on the A5 through Dunstable, and also looking a little slow on the A120 as you drive from Standon toward Bishop Stortford and across toward the M11. Now, on the trains, generally things are looking fine. We've got a couple of cancellations running through Watford Junction, though. First off, the 7:55 down to Euston is cancelled, and the 8:03 service running through Watford Junction up to Birmingham New Street cancelled as well. Both of them because a member of the train crew was unavailable. There we go. Adam Glynn, BBC 3.
We know what happens if you're unavailable, Adam. We get a professional person to come in and do the traffic. Why can't they do the same thing there?
I don't know.
Neither do I. Thank you, Adam. You're a good sport as always. Right, 7:46, Friday the 14th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. There's been a fourfold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. A man accused of causing the death of 24-year-old Joseph Kent in Milton Keynes earlier this year will appear at Luton Crown Court today. In sport, Andy Murray plays Benjamin Becker this afternoon in the quarter-finals of the Grass Court event at Queen's. Coming up, we could see more cyclists on our roads if health experts have their say. But are they a menace? 08459 455 555.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, Elizabeth Rizzini wasn't actually available today, so they got in a non-professional. But at least I've got some good weather.
Let's just say, Sarah, and let's keep this between us. Let's get back to Elizabeth. But it's great to have someone on who knows what they're doing. That's all I'm going to say. Carry on, please. Thank you.
Well, I wonder, with the gap, I thought maybe you were going to do that gag, and then we did it anyway. Yeah, a lot of what is it? What are we calling it?
Useful weekends.
Usable weather.
Usable. That was it. Yes.
Next couple of days. Sorry if you weren't listening an hour ago. We've got a few scattered showers, perhaps across the three counties this morning, but on the whole, today is bright and breezy with some good sunny spells at times. In the best of that, top temperature of 18 or 19 Celsius. But the wind will pick up as we go through the rest of the day because we do have some rain moving towards us by the early hours of tomorrow morning. But actually, this evening will be quite pleasant. One for the barbecues, I think. And then as we go through the night, the cloud increases, bringing us rain by about dawn. It'll clear away quite smartly tomorrow, off towards the east. So behind that, another bright and breezy day. Some sunny spells, a few scattered showers, actually a better chance perhaps of picking one up tomorrow morning, and a top temperature of 18 or 19 Celsius. And then we start dry on Sunday, but clouding over later. We've got some rain to move in by the end of the day. The timing is a little bit uncertain, but at the moment it looks like towards the end of the afternoon. They're a bit cool for the start of things on Monday, with highs on Monday of around 16 or 17 degrees. But some usable weather next couple of days.
Thank you very much.
Nick Coffer's Weekend Kitchen.
This Saturday, I'm joined in the Weekend Kitchen by top local chef Russell Bateman and excellent cooks Gina Manning and Sharon Church. We'll be jazzing up the humble lamb chop, tucking into a golden peach cake.
Absolutely scrummy, really, really nice, and it looks like it's an easy sort of midweek dish that you could do.
And bringing you some genius barbecue recipes.
You could drop it straight into the coals, because it's completely protected by the skin.
Nick Coffer's Weekend Kitchen.
Saturday from 12.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's Father's Day this weekend. I hope I get some brilliant presents. I know you should. No, it shouldn't be about that. I don't want some homemade rubbish. I don't. I want something bought from a shop. Really, I do. I want something bought from a shop. Yes, I did open my birthday presents. Turns out there's only 2 of them. Disappointed. The bag looked so big. There's a book and a CD, which I'm excited about. But I'm not. No, listen. I'm not materialistic in the slightest. But no. But this Sunday, I want something decent for my boys. Oh, look, we made you... Where's that supposed to be? What is that? Is that a picture of Daddy? It looks like a monkey. It's a giraffe. It's a picture of you, Daddy. It was rubbish. Go and get me... Go and get me something from the shop. CD or DVD or something. Go and get me a Bruce Lee DVD. Seriously. You know the feeling, dads. You're expecting something. Go and get me a Leo Sayer record from a charity shop. You know the feeling. You're in bed. It's Sunday morning. You think, I'm going to get breakfast in bed. Going to get something nice, and you get a bowl of cornflakes and a card that they've made themselves. Oh, blimey. Oh, well done. Well done. Spend a bit of cash. Front pages of the newspapers, then we'll go to Andy and Steve. The Times revealed the Indian ancestry of William. What? They've come over here, stealing our royal positions. The Duke of Cambridge will be Britain's first king to have proven Indian ancestry, DNA analysis has revealed. The question is asked by a whole nation, who cares? It's a front page royal fest on the Times. There's the Duchess as well. And she's on the front page of the Express, wearing 101 Dalmatian skin, and record high for house prices. House prices rose to their highest level on record last month. And they also go with the story about this gentleman that sprayed help on the picture of the Queen. Outrage at paint attack on Queen's portrait. See page 5. Custody row dad held after attack on Queen's portrait. Outrage. Surely it's more of an outrage that this gentleman is unable to see his children, if that is indeed the case, than a picture got a little bit of spray paint on. The Daily Mail. Caprice to have 2 babies 4 weeks apart. We did this story from another newspaper yesterday. Criminals in prison van crash sue for whiplash. A gang of criminals are to claim compensation for whiplash after their prison vans crashed into each other on the way to a murder trial. And the Sun, Cregan put grenade on mantelpiece. He said, "Shut up or you die." Dearie me. Cyclists, are they a menace on the roads? Let's go to Andy and Tring. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning.
Are they a menace?
They can be. I mean, I'm one of these horrible people that rides a bicycle in London. I borrow a Boris bike and cycle across the West End.
Do you wear a helmet?
No.
Shame on you.
Yes, that's my choice, though. I mean, something I would endorse would be a registration program for cyclists. Perhaps like a thing you put on your arm like a doorman, because you can do something with impunity. No one knows it's you. I'd cite the example of the guy that killed the elderly gentleman in Richmond.
Yes.
And rode off. They actually had footage from the bus where the cyclist rode past the bus. The old fella stepped out in front of the cyclist, hit him, threw him across onto the pavement. He checked his bike and rode off. Someone's got any idea who he was, and in those circumstances, we should be able to recognise who that guy is. Andy,
I appreciate that. Steve's on the M25. Morning, Steve.
Morning.
Cyclists, are they a menace?
Well, no, you see, I actually agree with Andy that they're not necessarily a menace, but the fact is that the registration thing, and I will now mention this road tax. I'm not saying that cyclists pay anything for a road tax, but they should be registered. The fact is...
Yes.
Sorry, go on.
No, just road tax doesn't exist.
What do you mean it doesn't exist?
Road tax doesn't exist.
Right, OK, so
it's a car tax.
All right, we'll have a cycle tax.
But also, you can't... the money from the... see, I've done my research, because I knew this would come up. The money from car tax, or what people call road tax, doesn't necessarily go towards the roads. You can't ring-fence where the tax goes, so it just goes into the pot. So, in many ways, cyclists do pay tax towards the upkeep of the roads.
Of course they do. I'm not saying they don't, and I'm not saying that they necessarily have to pay road tax. They have to have a disc which identifies the fact that their bike is registered.
Yep.
But, it's just simple little things like this, and, if we need to, get bike chips as well. Have an electronic chip on the bike. So as you buy it from a well-known shop, that it's scanned, and that then is a bike that is legal to go on the road. And the other thing is children on paper rounds.
Yeah.
No lights, no reflective jackets in the winter. It appalls me, and it should be brought up in front of the beak. That is the irresponsible shops that allow those youngsters to go out like that.
Steve, thank you for that. Keith's in Borehamwood. Morning, Keith.
Hi.
You've just seen an incident, have you?
I've just nearly been in one, yeah.
What happened?
Well, some idiot on a bike came off the pavement straight in front of me without looking.
And did you manage to stop?
Oh, yeah. I managed to avoid him.
Well, there you go. You see, you've done well. What did he say anything to you?
No, he just drove right off. Rode straight off. Didn't even look.
What? Well, that is muppetry of the highest order. Tim Gardiner has tweeted me. I don't understand this. Substitute cyclists for women or black people and you'll see how pointless this is. Like drivers, some are a menace, some aren't. But yeah, what? He's a triathlete. I don't want to argue with him. I don't want to argue with a triathlete. He could catch me up. Fat kids. Cycling and fat kids this morning. We're literally all over the shop like the crazy lady in boots. Whose fault is it? Steve's in Hemel. Morning, Steve.
Morning.
Whose fault is it that the kids are fat?
Well, it's a bit of everything, isn't it? It's a bit of society, schools. I mean, at the end of the day, schools don't do enough exercise.
How is it society's fault?
Well, you got chicken places, you got other food outlets everywhere you go. I mean, when I was a kid, all you had was a fish and chip shop or a restaurant if you was rich enough, and you had homemade food.
Fish and chip shops were very, very healthy, weren't they, back in the 70s?
Well, they weren't that bad. But you didn't have them every night, did you? People used to cook food for the kids.
It's the parent. Well, exactly. It's the parents' fault then, Steve.
Well, no, I said it's a bit of everything. Yeah, the parents are, but in reality, if parents are busy, which, you know, I keep getting told they are and all this, and, you know, I believe in parents should stay at home, one of them, to look after the kid. And obviously I've been told in the real world, apparently, that obviously people ain't got time to cook anyway. So at the end of the day, if there's more exercise at school and the more ethics of exercising, then you get reward. It's rewarding. It's like I left school and I never used to drink, but I've started drinking because of life.
Sorry?
But then sometimes I have a couple of pints and then I might have a pint of orange juice and lemonade, and the girl behind the counter laughs at me. I get laughed at because I want an orange juice. Now, how will you expect people to do exercise when in your big picture people are either drinking or whatever, and then if you go running or you keep fit, they look at you as if you're a strange case on another planet.
Hang on a second. I'm slightly confused as to what you drinking beer and orange juice has got to do with fat kids. I've lost the thread, Steve.
No, it's yeah, but obviously if someone laughs at you because you're drinking orange juice, what right have they got? If I want to drink orange juice after drinking a couple of pints, that's up to me, isn't it? I don't laugh at someone, you know, why should I follow the sheep? Why should I follow society and drinking every weekend and getting mullered? You know, at the end of the day, if I choose to drink a pint of orange juice after a couple of pints, that's up to me. If I want to keep fit and healthy, that's up to me, but you get persecuted. It's like kids at school.
So you were persecuted. You were persecuted.
You know what I mean.
For having an orange juice.
Word. Yeah, it's a stronger word, but yeah. Okay. But at the end of the day, we're not encouraged to exercise, are we? That's the bottom line.
Right. So
we're not, are we?
You think that young children are put under pressure by barmaids to eat KFC?
No, not
society.
Society. And there's food everywhere. Yeah. You've got chicken. Everything's everywhere. Food's everywhere. Kids are going to look at it. And also, as for kids with the sweets, don't give them no money. They can't buy no sweets.
Exactly. So, Steve, again, it's the parents' fault. Once again, you're agreeing with me. You just don't know you're agreeing with me.
No, I'm agreeing with you partially, but on the other side, the school should do more, get kids to do more exercise. The same as the parents should. So it's not just the parents.
Steve,
at the end of the day, we can't be there all the time, can we?
Steve, are you going to get mullered later on today?
I'm not going to get what?
Are you going to get mullered?
No, I ain't going to get mullered. I don't get mullered. I'll get in trouble if I get mullered.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Some delays on the M25. Anti-clockwise, it's looking slow from Waltham Abbey to Enfield into the roadworks, then past Potters Bar through the roadworks section, and delays from the M40 to the M4 as well, with maybe 10 or 15 minutes worth of delays around there. It's looking okay into London on the A40 though. In fact, it's looking lighter than usual. At the A41 as you go past Watford, not looking too bad. M1 and A1M still looking clear on the cameras. A little bit busy on the A10 through Cheshunt coming down to the M25, and then the other side of the M25 through Enfield slow as well. And the usual queues on the A1 past Stirling Corner on the southbound side. On the trains, most services running without problems this morning. We've just got those couple of cancellations through Watford Junction. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. The last hour, more on cycling, more on fat kids. It's got to be the parents' fault. It's Friday. A little bit of music to send us on to our weekend. How marvellous is that?
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. morning, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Catherine Boyle. The headlines: childhood obesity quadruples, surgeons' performance to go public, and happy payday to, well, somebody.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The number of British children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions over the last 10 years has quadrupled. In the three counties, Luton has the highest number of children registered obese, which at 22% is above the national average. Hertfordshire has the area's lowest childhood obesity figure at 14%. This morning, Iain Lee's asking who's to blame. Tam Fry from the National Obesity Forum says the answer is clear.
There's a significant number of parents who are really very short on parenting skills. They really don't know how to look after their children or raise their children. Those are the children who we are starting to see in these figures. And until something serious is done about education in schools, about how to raise children, I'm afraid we will continue in this way.
A man accused of an assault which led to the death of another man outside the Escape in Milton Keynes will appear at Luton Crown Court today. 25-year-old Samir Boston has been charged with the manslaughter of Joseph Kent, who died from head injuries 2 days after the alleged assault in January. 2 other men are due to stand trial next month for causing actual bodily harm. The case of a couple from Dunstable accused of selling fake bomb and drug detectors to governments around the world is coming to an end at the Old Bailey. Samuel Tree and his wife Joan made the devices at their home in Houghton Road, but defending barrister Graham Brodie QC says it's ludicrous to suggest that in middle age they turned to a life of crime. Our reporter Faith Southwell was in court.
He pointed out that on one occasion Mr Tree had given one of these devices to a British policeman to test, and he said that this categorically proved his client's innocence, because giving a device to a policeman to test is inconsistent, he said, with criminality. He gave it to the officer because he believed honestly, albeit mistakenly, that the device did work.
The Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt has threatened to name surgeons who refuse to allow data about the results of their work to be published. League tables for 10 specialities are due to go online in England from next month, but surgeons have to give their consent first, prompting fears that some will opt out. A group of climate experts is set to meet next week to discuss the highly unpredictable nature of the UK's recent weather. This year's seen the coldest spring for 50 years, and last summer was a washout. An American production company is suing the publishing arm of Warner Music over the copyright to Happy Birthday to You. The film company says the 120-year-old song belongs to the public and should be free to use. In March, Warner Chappell charged the filmmakers £1,000 to use it in a documentary. Sport now, and Luke Donald leads golf's US Open at the Merion course near Philadelphia, but weather delays means he's yet to complete his opening round. Donald will resume today at 4 under par after 13 holes. The weather, sunshine and showers with a top temperature of 19 degrees Celsius, that's 66 Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Eyes down, last hour. We can do this, team. Come on. Focus, focus. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Here every weekday morning between 6 and 9. Well, this is the last hour, so what have we got for you? Lots of stuff, and as always, good to get your thoughts on them. Please, are cyclists a menace on our roads? We could be seeing more of them if health experts get their way. Could save the NHS £1 billion a year. What do you think? Are cyclists a menace on our roads? I'm getting harassed by them on Twitter now. Oh, for goodness sakes. Leave me alone. There's been a 4-fold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. More than 1 in 5 children aged 10 or 11 are obese in parts of beds, hearts and bucks. Who's to blame for fat kids? It seems obvious to me. It's the parents. We can blame society. Oh, there's loads of KFCs and McDonald's everywhere. But it's the parents that are giving them the money. It's the parents that are buying those meals. And also, it's Friday. We like to end with a little bit of music, and we've got some cracking stuff for you today. At least Kelly Betts hopes it's cracking, otherwise she's fired. We'll reveal more in a little bit. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Put your name on it! Or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
A According to health experts, the NHS could save more than £1 billion every year if the government was to match Dutch levels of spending on provision for cyclists. Here, the off-road cycleway between Luton and Harpenden is now fully operational, having cost just under £1 million. £1 million? That's quite a lot of money. What do you think? Is that money well spent? Everyone's having to cut their cloth a little better these days. £1 million on an off-road cycleway. I do kind of think perhaps that's a little bit excessive. Well, I'm asking you this morning, are cyclists a menace on our roads? Well, Peter Bate is the area manager for Sustrans in Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. They're a charity trying to create better cycling links. Morning, Peter. £1 million on a cycleway, that does seem a little excessive.
Well, you've got to think about how long and how many people are going to benefit from this cycleway. Cycleways do have very good lifespans. I mean, for example, this will probably last 20 years plus without any major maintenance being required beyond clearing vegetation and so on. We compare that to the cost of a road and how quickly they wear out with the traffic going across it. It is actually, when you look at that 20-odd year lifespan of a route like that, it actually starts to look a little bit different, doesn't it?
But why can't cyclists just use the road? And then you didn't need to spend £1 million.
Well, if you look at that particular example, you've got the Lower Harpenden Road between Luton and Harpenden, which is recognised as being quite a fast and nasty road. It's quite people who drive it probably find that as well. If you look at the number of holes in the wall on the west side of it up by Luton Hoo, you think how many accidents have been. And one thing that people often say, the most common thing that people say when asked why don't you cycle on the roads, is that they don't feel comfortable fighting with traffic. And generally speaking, the traffic-free routes are the ones that people prefer to use.
This £1 million, where has that come from?
It's like a lot of these sort of projects being put together from a whole variety of different places. The final £250,000 came from the big Lottery Connect 2 project, which was, you might remember a few years ago, there was a television programme where people were able to vote for a big projects across the country, which one got the money. Connect 2 from Sustrans got the money. About 80-odd projects across the country, of which Upper Lee Valley Way was one. There's about £100,000 from Department for Transport linked to Communities Funds, and the rest came from the councils involved, Luton Borough, Beds County, Central Beds, Herts County Council. So put together through a variety of sources and implemented over a number of years as the money became available. So, for example, the bridge across the Lower Harpenden Road went in 2009. That was a key piece of infrastructure.
Is it money well spent? Will people actually use it, Peter? Is there an appetite for something like this?
Oh, there certainly is. I mean, I've been on the route. It's a lovely route to do. I'd recommend it to anybody to do. It's a beautiful route, roughly from Airport Way, the northern entrance, down to Westfield Road and Harpenden, 3.5 miles long, traffic-free, lovely surface, a very interesting and pleasant rural environment to go through. I think people do use it. Every time I'm on it, I see lots of people going through, for a whole variety of different people, whether they're walking with their children, there's horse riders, there's people cycling, whether it's commuting or just going to the shops or whatever. There are automatic traffic counters at each end which count the bikes, and monitoring is built into every Connect 2 project so that we do establish the level of use of things like this.
And are there more routes like this planned for Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire?
Well, we're always putting in news or seeking to get funding for new routes. There's a number which we're looking at, one alongside the North Orbital route, another one to Cranfield University. These are ones which are quite well advanced under the cycle safety scheme, again from the Department for Transport. So again, these are funded by national funds, generally speaking.
Peter Bate, thank you very much, Area Manager for Sustrans in Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire, a charity trying to create better cycling links. Well, what do you think? Are cyclists a menace on the road? I tell you what, why don't you see cyclists wearing helmets? The number of cyclists that do not wear helmets. Why is that right? Of course you should be doing everything you can to make the cycling a little bit safer, to make everybody feel a little bit safer. I have to wear a seatbelt in my car. When I go out on my bike, I'll wear a helmet. Why don't you wear yours? You don't see many of them, do you? And I know that the Boris Bikes is in London, but it should be made compulsory for cyclists to wear helmets.
Hello, Ian.
Sorry. Oh, I wish we'd got there a second earlier.
Oh, yes.
What were you just singing?
I was just singing to myself.
What were you singing?
Can you hear me on the radio car?
Oh, what a muppet! Listen, I want to get your professional opinion. You're out in the radio car every day.
Yeah.
When it works, and that's an internal matter that needs to be discussed. But do you see many cyclists? We've had a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's only a few cyclists that ride badly." As a professional driver, Justin, what do you make of it?
Well, I don't tend to see many in the rush hour. That's the first thing. I tend to see more cyclists at weekends, to be quite honest with you. We spoke to a cyclist earlier. When I said to him, "Do you feel safe on the roads?" He said, "No, I don't." And he says, when people say to me about taking up cycling, he always says, "Don't do it because it's not safe." So I don't see them in the rush hour. I tend to see them at weekends. Now, when I do see them at weekends, I tend to see them in a line, and then suddenly, a couple of minutes later, they might go next to each other, and they do infuriate some motorists. I'm telling you what I've seen. Obviously, it could be different for other people, but from my experience, it tends to be weekend cyclists, and the ones that I don't see don't ride particularly well.
Now, it's not illegal, apparently, for cyclists to ride two abreast, but it is annoying, it is discourteous, and if you're holding up the whole traffic if you do that. You shouldn't be. If you want to have a chat with your mate, get off your bike and have a chat with your mate. Don't ride next to each other. And I tell you another thing. I'm going off on a little rant now.
Ranting,
The thing, because we can all contribute to make the road safer, both drivers and cyclists. Riding two abreast does not make the road safer. Another thing that makes me very, very anxious, and I hate them, are those little trailers at the back of bikes where they put their kids.
Oh, do you know what? I saw that. Do you know what? Don't get me going about this. I saw that. I saw somebody doing this on the A5. Now, I'm not a parent, so technically I've got no right to say anything. However, again, it's just a personal view. I saw somebody on the A5. Now, the A5
busy road.
Is a busy road.
Very
it's
busy
a very
road.
fast road. Why on earth would you want to be going down the A5 with your child on a trailer on the back of the bike? That is absolute madness, if you ask me.
How on earth can that be safe? Because if cyclists are saying, well, it's drivers that are hitting us, well, if a driver clips that, even just gently nudges that, which of course, it's the driver's fault, but that's your kids are gone. If you turn too fast around a corner, it tips over. Your kids are gone.
Why would you take that chance? Well, why would you put the life of your child, the most precious thing in your life, you are putting the life of your child into somebody else's hands? Somebody could be driving down that road, and for a split second, they take their eye off the road, or they may take an illegal phone call, a handheld phone call, and they go into you on that bike. They could kill your child instantly. Why would you do that? I saw that a couple of years ago for the first time. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
And also, you mentioned, we do see too many drivers making phone calls and sending texts like that, and it's illegal and it is terrible. But I see cyclists. I see cyclists driving no-handed. Oh, like you're in a circus. That's clever.
Showing off.
I see. Oh, look at that. Well done. You're not 12, mate. It's not going to impress any of the girls now. I see cyclists with both headphones in from their Walkman, and I see cyclists. We had Scott saying that he texts and tweets, and he's very good at it.
Yeah,
it's not responsible.
I mean, again, in my experience of talking to cyclists, it's never their fault. And we had cyclists this morning who wouldn't talk to me on the record because they said to me, "Oh, here we go again. You're the BBC. You're going to have a go at us." No, I'm here to get your views. There seems to be this attitude of it's always our fault, when in actual fact it's the motorist's fault, and I'm not going to talk to you.
I've got an idea, Justin.
Yeah, go on.
And this is a genuine thing we can do one day next week. I'm sure we can sort this out. You and me, we go out on bikes.
Separate bikes or maybe a tandem? Come on, a tandem.
All right, listen. If we
on the back though, yeah.
Well, that's how you like it. If we can get, where on earth would we get a tandem from?
Oh, do you know what? Somebody will phone up now. Somebody surely listening to this in Beds, Hearts and Bucks will have a tandem that we can borrow, or somebody from a shop will say, "Do you know what? I've got a tandem, guys. Take it for the week and have fun."
Beautiful. Okay, here we go. Right, I want someone. If you've got a tandem, someone must have one. Could you lend it to Justin Dealey and myself? I'll be at the front doing the steering, so don't worry.
Oh, I'm scared now.
No, I'm a little bit nervous. 08459 455 555. We want to go out on a tandem next week to see just what it's like for cyclists.
Yeah.
Justin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Iain.
There we go. There's your Sony, dear listener. There's your Sony. We want a tandem. You don't see tandems very often. I saw a tridem. You know, like the goodies used to have. I saw one the other day, a proper one, a tridem. Probably not the word. Can we find a tandem? 08459 455 555. You can email me as well. Iain.lee, IAIN.LEE at bbc.co.uk. Let's put this to the test, OK? We're here being, Billy Big Mouths and things. Like Justin Dealey and myself go out next week on a bicycle together, a bicycle made for two, no less, and see just what it's like to be a cyclist in a town like Luton. We'll see if we get any abuse. We'll see if we get picked on and spat on. We'll have some of that, right. 08459 455 555. We just need to find a tandem now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I've got that song going through my head. On a bicycle built for two. It'll be brilliant. The A1 through Roxton, slow moving as you come southbound toward the Black Cat roundabout. The A10 through Cheshunt is looking quite busy this morning. Usual queues from College Road down toward the Winston Churchill Way, and as you continue down toward the M25, it's looking slow as well. And then through Enfield, queues from Bullsmore Lane to Southbury Road. You can see those on the CCTV cameras. Speed sensors picking up slow traffic now in Hemel Hempstead along the A414 Breakspear Way, eastbound from the Leverstock Greenway down toward Buntsfield Lane. You've got queues in Watford on the A41. It's starting to look just a little bit slow on the approach to the Dome roundabout. It's not too bad really. M25 anti-clockwise at the minute. Most of the traffic seems to be from the M40 toward the M4, taking maybe 10 or 15 minutes to get from junction 16 to 15, and then in toward London, the A1 through Boreham Wood still queuing at Stirling Corner. Train departure boards not showing any major issues. We had a couple of cancellations through Watford Junction earlier this morning, both of which were because of members of the train crew being unavailable. After those have gone, everything else looking good. Tubes are running without problems as well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thanks very much, Adam. Right, 8:16. It's Friday the 14th of June. I'm Iain Lee, and these are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The number of British children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions has quadrupled over the last 10 years. A man accused of an assault outside Escape in Milton Keynes, which led to the victim's death, is set to appear at Luton Crown Court later. In sport, Buckinghamshire golfer Luke Donald is in the lead at the US Open at Merion, but is yet to complete his opening round due to weather delays. Coming up, we'll get the latest on Dale Cregan. He's the man who shot dead two policewomen in Greater Manchester. 08459 455 555. I'm on the hunt for a tandem.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Passionate about sports? Fancy being a sports journalist at the BBC? Well, we're looking for applications now for 2013 BBC Kick-Off Trainee Sports Reporter Scheme. You'll receive full training and 2 days a week, 8-week placement over the summer at a BBC local radio station. And you don't need to have any journalism experience at all to apply. The Trainee Sports Reporter Scheme. Log on to bbc.co.uk/careers and follow the link for full details. Let the BBC help kick off your career.
He should get his own show. Jonathan Vernon... Jonathan, I can't tell you what I'm talking about. Jonathan Vernon Smith is in the studio. You're looking... I like that shirt.
Oh, thanks. Yes, I like this shirt.
A pale pink with a nice light blue button.
Yes, and a blue inner collar.
It is nice. Where's it from?
It's nice. It's from Gant.
Beg your pardon?
From Gant.
Gant.
Look.
Oh, it's got a logo on the breast.
Yes.
I don't like logos on the breast.
Oh.
I like my breast to be logo free.
Oh, do you really?
You've covered it with a smart jacket. You're looking lovely. Are you off hunting or something later on? What's going on?
No. Do I look like I'm going hunting?
Yeah, look, you're going to go back to get your shotgun.
Country casual. This is the look.
Oh, you look lovely.
Thanks very much.
What have you got
So
planned?
do you.
Well, I don't. I look scruffy. And I'm going to the proper BBC later on. The one in London. Oh, gosh. Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did.
What are you doing this weekend? Anything pleasant?
Friends for dinner tomorrow night. Working tomorrow morning. Sunday, don't know yet. I'm just going to, see how things progress.
I want a word with you.
What?
Sometimes you are bang out of order, and last night on Twitter you were bang out of order.
Why?
You said you had a problem with people who let their cats out.
Oh, God.
People who don't keep their cats prisoner.
Did you watch that programme last night?
No, I've taped it.
Oh, don't bother. Honestly, I got into bed. I thought I'm going to watch this cat programme.
This is the thing where they put a camera on a cat and
they're showing all the people like you let your cats roam.
Yes,
go and
as you're meant to do.
in other people's gardens.
They are wild animals, yes.
They're not wild animals, they're domesticated. But
partly, yes.
it was so boring.
Why?
Yeah, we've been playing all these adverts through the cat flap. You know, the other side of the cat. Oh, it's so boring.
Playing a lot of adverts. Why was it boring? Did it make you feel guilty for keeping your cat a prisoner?
No, I was looking at it and thinking, you're really not missing out on anything, are you?
Well, they get to go out. What did they do, the cats?
Oh, not a lot. They just they put a tracking system on, and then they just sat with the owners in their kitchens and said, oh, look where little Tommy goes during the day. He goes all the way around the estate and then he comes back. And the owners would say, oh, I had no idea he went that far. And that was it, really.
Has your cat committed any crimes?
No. Well, he did once. A blue tit flew through the window. This is not even a joke. Last year...
Yes.
I was in the bathroom and I suddenly heard this squealing noise.
Yes.
So, draped in a towel, I ran out.
Sorry, very steamy.
Sorry to create that image for you. I ran out in my towel, and this blue tit had flown through the window, and it was circling the living room. My cat was like a thing possessed, you know.
Yeah.
As he doesn't get to go out, this was his first opportunity to kill a bird. And this bird went smack into the window, fell on the floor. That was it. Pip had him in his mouth, ran into the kitchen.
Shreds.
He had him flat on his back.
Yeah.
He was punching him round the face.
Karate chops to the windpipe.
I thought, how did he learn these things? He's never even been outside.
It's instinct.
And he's punching this poor little blue tit. So I got it off him. I said, you naughty boy. And I opened the kitchen window, threw it out, and it just kind of plummeted.
Yeah.
I live on the top floor. I thought I was releasing it back into the wild.
No, it'll be eaten by another cat now.
You're right.
Yeah. Your flat's like Guantanamo Bay. Seriously, that cat's done nothing wrong. You are keeping it in without pressing charges.
It's a very expensive pedigree. If I let him out, some riffraff would steal him or torture him. People do that to cats. They torture them.
They do torture. You don't see cats with fireworks tied to their tails anymore. Very popular in the 70s.
Goodness.
No, thank goodness. I'm just saying that we've come a long way since 1976.
Don't give these awful people ideas.
What's on your show this morning?
Coming up on the Big Phone in this morning, we're talking about the obesity problem with children that you've been discussing today. From 9, I'm asking, is it hard to keep children slim? There's been a 4-fold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. More than 1 in 5 children aged 10 or 11 are obese in parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks. The highest figure, 22%, is in Luton, which is above the national average. The lowest is in Hertfordshire with 14%. Overall, the UK has the highest rate of child obesity in Western Europe. But maybe we have to accept that with busy parents, expensive gym memberships, readily available fast food, and a general reluctance to let children play outside, we've created a country and a climate where parents find it increasingly hard to keep children slim. From 9 this morning, I want to hear your views. If you are a parent of children at the moment, is it hard for you to keep them slim? If your children have now grown up, when they were younger, did you find it hard to keep them slim? 08459 455 555. It's the Big Phone in this morning from 9.
Do you want to come out on a bike with me and Justin?
On a bike?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
Round Luton.
Round Luton? Why are we going on a bike round Luton?
To see what it's like for cyclists.
Oh, no.
What?
I went on a motorbike round Luton, nearly killed.
Nearly killed what?
No, I was nearly
You really? I don't like motorbikes.
No, it was very scary.
If I ever start a cardiology hospital in America, guess what I'm going to call it?
Is that likely?
No, well, it's possible. Guess what? I've got a good name for it.
What?
Beds, Herts and Bucks.
Oh, I see what you've done there.
I was expecting a laugh.
That's very good.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's true. Justin Dealey and we're talking about cyclists today, and Justin Dealey and myself want to go out on a tandem around Luton, but I don't think you get them anymore. I don't think you see them anymore. Well, Mark in Luton has called in. Good morning, Mark.
Hello, Ian.
Mark, you've not got a tandem, have you?
I'm looking at one right now.
Oh, superb! Is it in good working order?
It's perfect. We've only had it about 2 weeks.
Why did you get one?
I work for Sight Concern Bedfordshire.
Right.
I'm a support worker. I've worked here for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was just driving past a bike shop about 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And they had one outside.
Right.
So I put a thing on Facebook saying, I think a tandem would be great to get blind and partially sighted people out on a bike.
Sitting at the back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
okay,
course,
just
me on the
just
front.
checking.
Yeah, me on
yes,
the front.
okay, just clearing that up.
And within 24 hours, we'd raised enough money.
How much does a tandem cost these days?
Well, I was told at the shop that a new about 700 or 800 quid.
Flipping heck!
Now, we got it a little bit cheaper
Good
than
for
that,
you, well done.
obviously.
And do you trust... Are you prepared to let Justin Dealey and myself borrow this?
Are you trustworthy adults?
No, we're not! It's me and Justin Dealey, Mark!
Then maybe with a little bit of training.
OK, I think we might a little bit of training. And but listen, if you're prepared to let us borrow it, then that would be wonderful.
I think
absolutely
so.
wonderful.
That would be great.
The worry about the thing is, I'll be steering the tandem. The worry about it is if you're at the front. And you might have this with one of your partially sighted or blind people. How do you know they're doing the pedalling at the back?
Well, you really can't see.
Exactly.
And I've just tweeted you a little video. Unfortunately, I put a little bit of music on, which some sites don't like being played. It's only I just used someone else's piece of music, but it's a great video of when we first used it last week, when we had a really sunny day up at Stockwood.
All right, so this is I'm looking at it now. This is Sight Concern Bedfordshire.
That's us.
Get a tandem. I'm just going to skip, but I don't want to read all your guff.
Hey, that's important. Thank you, that is.
That is important, thank you. You're right. But I'm looking at it. It's a proper tandem.
Of course it is.
Is that you on the front?
I'm afraid it is.
You're a big lad. And so who is using this bike with you? So what kind of age group are you getting on the back of the bike then?
I think the youngest is 21.
Yep.
The oldest is 62.
Yep.
3 of the people in that video have never, ever been on a bike.
That's incredible. It's a thing we kind of take for granted, isn't it, as sighted people, that we can all jump on a bike and have a ride around. And it looks like a cracking idea.
It was absolutely a ball. The problem is I can't see if people were pedalling or not.
Yeah.
Some people it was really easy.
Yep.
Other people, I think they were just putting their feet up, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. They're taking the mick, Mark.
Exactly.
They're taking the mick. Well, listen, I think we're going to send Justin Dealey over to you before the end of the show. Is that all right?
Yeah, brilliant.
You can make the judgment as to whether he's a trustworthy person or not. Mark, we'll speak to you later on. Thank you very much. We've got a tandem. We've got ourselves a tandem. We've got ourselves a feature next week as Justin Dealey and myself crash a tandem in Luton. I know we won't crash it. It does worry me ever so slightly. It makes me slightly concerned. Because bikes are, they're kind of tough at the best of times. When you've got some muppet like Dealey in the back, making sure that he looks, all right, Leicester, all right, mate, all right, fella, all right, girl, 2 shugs. This is Justin Dealey when he comes in first in the morning. Get us a cough with 2 shugs. That's how he speaks. 3 shugs, I do apologise. It's 3 shugs, isn't it? Should we have a very quick look at the front pages of the newspaper? You know, sometimes you have an idea and you say it on the radio, and when you say it, you think, oh, that's a good idea. It'll make us look good, and it will never happen. And then it happens. You think, oh, for goodness sakes. Let's have a look. The Times revealed the Indian ancestry of William. More importantly, meet the new Lois Lane. I'm excited about this new Superman film, even though it's not had particularly good reviews. Sort of like 3 out of 5 stars. I'm quite excited by this. I'm working in London later on. I've told my wife I'm in London all day. I don't need to be. But I could sneak off and go and see the new Superman film. Just must remember not to mention it when I go home. The Daily Telegraph. She's single. Wendy Deng is single, guys. That's right. Who Wendy Deng? She's Rupert Murdoch's ex-wife. She's young, she's hot, she's divorcing an £11 billion heir. So she's going to be worth a few quid. The front page of The Independent. Hacked off with each other, Rupert Murdoch is to divorce Wendy Deng, his Chinese-born American wife who's 38 years his junior. She stepped in, didn't she, when that fruitcake splashed a cream pie in his face at the hearing. He was an idiot, that bloke. I mean, yes, by all means protest, but is that the best you can do, attacking an old man? What Olympic legacy, asks The Independent. Fewer people are playing sport than a year ago. The Guardian. Wendy Deng has split up with Rupert Murdoch, and even the Met Office is worried by the weather. This will be Liam Dutton, who's kind of gone off me. Washed-out summers, flash floods, freezing winters, snow in May, droughts. There's a growing sense that something is happening to our weather. But is it simply down to natural variability? Or is climate change to blame? I watched 2 documentaries the other week about the weather. It's terrifying what could potentially happen. They were called The Day After Tomorrow and 2012. And it really is. If those things come to pass, then boy, oh boy, we are in serious trouble.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC 3 Counties Radio.
Quite slow on the A1 at the Black Cat roundabout through Roxton. Delays aren't quite back as far as Neath. It's looking a little bit slow past St Neots, though. probably could end up becoming 1Q very shortly. Into Bedford from Bromham, it's looking busy along the A428, the Bromham Road. Fair bit of traffic on the A5 through Dunstable. Speed sensors showing it's busy as you go past the A505 junctions. And into Aylesbury, the A41 from Aston Clinton, possibly a little slow as well. A404 Marlow up toward High Wycombe. On that northbound side, you're going to find queuing traffic at the moment. It looks quite busy. Generally, routes into and out of London actually doing quite well. We've got no M40 problems. M1's looking all right, as is the A1M. We've got a bit of slow traffic in Hitchin on the A602, though, just between the A505 and London Road. Busy on the A414 in Hemel Hempstead, near to Buncefield Lane. And the A413 in Aylesbury looking a little slow around Watermead. Plus, on the trains and tubes, it's been a good start to the day, and I think most routes into and out of London on the rails are still running without problems. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. 8:30, let's get the news and sport now. Here's Catherine Boyle.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. The headlines. The number of British children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions has quadrupled over the last 10 years. A man accused of an assault outside Escape in Milton Keynes, which led to the victim's death, is set to appear at Luton Crown Court later. And the Health Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, has threatened to name surgeons who refuse to allow data about the results of their work to be published.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's cricketers must beat New Zealand on Sunday to reach the semi-finals of the Champions Trophy after a 7-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka at the Oval last night. Kumar Sangakkara's 134 not out helped Sri Lanka to their target of 294 with 17 balls to spare. Russell Fuller reports.
Half-centuries from Cook, Trott and Root gave England an excellent platform, and even after the innings abruptly lost momentum when 4 wickets fell for 5 runs between the 46th and the 48th overs, Ravi Bopara ensured England posted a tough target by plundering 28 runs from the final over. But Kumar Sangakkara played a masterful innings full of wristy pulls, cuts and flicks to record a 15th one-day century.
In golf, Luke Donald's the leader at the US Open at 4 under par, but still has 5 holes to play in his first round due to weather delays at the Merion course near Philadelphia. From there, here's our golf correspondent Iain Carter.
Donald is a notoriously slow starter in majors, but the Englishman bucked that trend with 3 birdies in a row before darkness fell last night. Now his challenge is to preserve his advantage over the toughest stretch of holes on the course. There'll be no respite when he resumes on the 14th tee. A similar scenario faces Tiger Woods, who's struggling with a sore left wrist and inconsistent putting and is at 2 over par.
In tennis, Andy Murray's through to the quarter-finals at Queen's after back-to-back wins yesterday. He beat Nikola Mahut and Marinko Matosevic to set up a last 8 match with Benjamin Becker later on. Welling's Gosling Tennis Club held a special send-off last night for their players heading to Wimbledon in the next couple of weeks. Ed Corrie, Dave Rice, Dan Cox, Josh Satwell and Lewis Roskilly will be playing in the seniors, singles, doubles and juniors competitions. And that's your latest news and sport. I'll be back with more at 9 o'clock.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's Friday. Before the end of the show, we've got a cheeky little bit of music. Someone's going to be sneaking into the studio and playing us what? I'm not going to tell you. By the way, if you think you could come in on a Friday morning and entertain us with some music, do send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. We've had some excellent stuff. We've also had some tosh. We've got some great stuff today. We've had some tosh. The standard doesn't necessarily need to be high, but something a little bit different. We don't just want 3 guys with 2 acoustic guitars coming in singing songs about their girlfriends. Kind of something a little bit more imaginative, please. If you think you could fulfil that role, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. This morning we've been asking who is to blame for obese kids. There's been a 4-fold increase in the number of children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions in the last decade. More than 1 in 5 kids aged 10 or 11 are obese in parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks. The highest figure, 22%, is in Luton, which is above the national average. Well, Justin Dealey has been getting reaction in Luton this morning. Justin, what have parents been saying to you?
Well, I've been talking to Claire. Now, Claire has 2 children, and I put that question to her, who is to blame for obese kids? And this is what she had to say.
It's definitely the parents' fault. It's lazy parenting, 100%. Yeah, definitely. There's nothing stopping you buying vegetables, fruit. It's just, I don't understand why you'd want to buy a microwave meal for your child. I just can't. I work full time and I still manage to cook for my kids, so if I can do it, everyone else can do it.
So if you see a parent walking down the street with their child and that child is obese, do you automatically think there is just no excuse for that?
I don't know. I'm not that judgmental because I know there's conditions and whatever, but in general...
But if that person doesn't have a condition and their obesity is based purely on what they eat, is there any excuse for that?
No, there's no excuse at all because you just wouldn't buy the rubbish that your child's obviously eating. You'd have fresh fruit in your house, you'd have vegetables, you wouldn't have crisp chocolate, you wouldn't have none of that, so...
I mean, Luton's got a major problem. It's one of the worst areas in the country for childhood obesity. When you're walking around the town, are you seeing, I'm not being offensive here, but do you see a lot of fat kids?
I do, yeah. I work in a dental clinic and I see a lot of children and a lot of them are very, very big kids.
Well, that's parents covered, Justin. Have you been speaking to fat kids?
No, I haven't spoken to any fat children. I've got to say this, because this keeps on coming up. I don't see any difference in children walking to school now compared to, 10 or 15 years ago. I just don't see where these figures are coming from.
Well, I do a little bit, because when I was at school, and let's speak freely, and I'm not making light of it, although my use of language might do. It is a very serious concern. When I was at school, there was one fat kid in the class, and that was it.
Yeah, same as.
You do... I think you do see larger children these days.
Well, this is why this next clip is so interesting. This is Michael. Michael is 16 years old. Just take a listen to this.
About 5 or 4 people I know are obese. Some are slightly, some are quite over the obesity level, I think, yeah.
So even at 16 years old, there's 5 people in your class of how many?
27.
27 that are obese. You're slim, you're very, very fit.
Yeah.
Why do you think these people are obese? Is it a case of they simply can't be bothered?
I just think they're quite lazy, to be honest, yeah.
So how do you keep yourself slim?
Sometimes I do sports. I do sports 2 times a week. I do basketball. Yeah. I go to a team, like, every week here in Leeds. So, yeah.
And it's not rocket science, is it? You talk about the things there, you talk about exercising, having fun, to stay fit, to stay healthy. It's not rocket science, is it, Michael?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's not. It only takes... And you have to change your diet as well. It's important that you change your diet also.
Sport's not for everyone. I remember being a kid and I was a sprinter for my county. Yeah, I was that good. I used to run against Adrian Patrick. Don't know if you heard against him.
Really?
Heard of him? Yeah, I wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But I did used to run the 400 metres.
With them legs, I'm not surprised.
But sport isn't for everyone, is it? So people say, oh yeah, just go and play sport.
Well, why can't it be for everyone?
Because not everyone enjoys it.
It's great fun.
Well,
how can sport not be fun? Come on, how can sport not be fun? How can winning not be fun?
Oh, but sport is not for everyone. There are lots of people who do not enjoy the rigours of sport.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but surely there are other things that they could be doing. I mean, the national figures: 1 in 5 children aged 10 or 11 are obese in parts of beds, hearts and bucks. Michael, there, 16 years old, on his way to school. 27 classmates he's got. 5 of those are obese. Some of them extremely obese. His words, not mine.
Justin Daly, thank you very much indeed. Well, Olena Soal is a public health manager for Luton Borough Council. Morning, Olena. Oh, you're there. You're on the wrong fader. I've got the wrong one. I do apologise. Have the figures improved since March?
Well, we won't have our data released until for the next few months, but looking at the data since the National Child Measurement Programme was put in place, for Luton, I mean, we're fairly comparable to our statistical neighbours, so areas that have similar population makeup. But certainly for our reception year, so looking at the kind of the 5-year-old range, we've seen about a 3% drop in obesity levels. Sadly, for the older children, the year 6s, like the 11, 12-year-olds, we haven't, and we are above the national average for that. But certainly we've put a lot of work into working with the under 5s, because a lot of this, it doesn't really happen in childhood. It happens way before that, before children are even preconceived. So you're looking at if adults are overweight, particularly women of childbearing age, trying to get levels down in that so that when children are in the womb developing, the scene isn't set for obesity in childhood and later in life.
So it is quite often the thing, isn't it? If you see fat kids, they've quite often got fat parents.
Certainly the size of the parents, weight of the parents, does have a bearing on the children, particularly mothers and daughters and fathers and sons. But I would like to stress that you can't, with children particularly, necessarily tell just by looking at them what their weight is in terms of obesity. It really comes down to measuring. And Luton has one of the highest participation rates in England for the National Childhood Measurement Programme, which we know anecdotally that it tends to be the children who are larger whose parents opt out of the programme. So that could be one of the reasons why we have a higher rate of obesity.
What other reasons? I mean, Luton does have the highest child obesity in Beds, Herts and Bucks, doesn't it? That's quite a worrying fact.
It is, yes. But also looking at our population, because the National Child Measurement Programme has been running now for a few years, we've been able to do national data analysis looking at trends. And for some population groups, it's actually improving. But for others, particularly from families that are less well off and from certain black and minority ethnic groups, it's actually getting a little bit worse. And if you look at the population makeup of Luton, it's no surprise then that we have higher rates of obesity in older children.
Have a listen to this, Elena. This is Adele. She's from Buckinghamshire. She found out that her kids were perhaps obese, and she put her children on a healthy lifestyle programme for 7 to 13-year-olds.
They were about 7 and 9, and they started saying that they wouldn't wear their swimsuits out in front of their friends, and I was a bit shocked that it was so young that they noticed things like that. I don't know, to be quite honest, where it came from. I think it was just them, they see on telly, everybody's skinny, they just felt conscious of it, and I just thought, right, we're going to sort this out, because I'm not having them growing up feeling like this. You know what, if my kids are conscious of their weight, this is not their fault at this stage, this is my fault. I'm doing something wrong here.
It is parents' fault, isn't it?
It's not parents' fault. Parents certainly have a big role to play in the child's...
Well, they feed them, and so they're the ones that can let them sit there all day on their backsides playing Xbox.
Well, they do, but it comes down to parenting skills, most definitely. But what we find with a lot of parents, they're saying that they don't feel they have control over their children, choices they make. And if
of course they do. They're parents. I don't understand that.
Respect, but if you have a look at children on their way to school in the morning, a lot of them will stop off and will often purchase high-energy drinks, crisps, chocolate bars on their way to school, and parents don't really have a lot of control over that.
Don't give them the money.
Well, yes, that is one way around, certainly. But I think
I do object to that. I do think. Listen, if you're a parent, you control what they eat at home. You control what you give them in their packed lunch. You control how much money you give them to spend. Surely it is the parents' responsibility. I think it's a little bit disingenuous to blame society.
Well, no, I don't think society is necessary to blame either. It doesn't really come down to blame. It comes down to responsibility, and I completely agree with you that parents do have a responsibility around their children, but as children get older and they start to make their own choices, they can not necessarily make the best choices, especially when you have food available to you nearly 24 hours a day now in every situation that is really highly calorific. So there's a lot of energy value in there. And if children aren't doing the energy to expend that, then they will put on weight. But the woman who's just speaking there, who took her family to a kind of lifestyle weight management program, I mean, that's an excellent step. And in Luton, we have the Alive and Kicking program, and that's open to families with children between the ages of 5 and 15. And that helps parents help the children make better lifestyle choices. It makes the children more aware, and it's a joint responsibility between the parents and child and society as well as to how we address this issue.
Elena, thank you very much indeed. That's Elena Swall, who is Public Health Manager for Luton Borough Council. It does concern me slightly that there are courses where 5-year-olds can learn about healthy eating and losing weight and managing their weight. That's mum and dad's job. That is mum and dad's job. The facts... And if there are parents who don't know how to pass that information on to their kids, that is concerning. It really does worry me that 5-year-olds are being encouraged to go to courses to learn about healthy eating and to learn about you're a little bit overweight, this is what we do to lose a bit of weight, we do a bit of exercise. It's common sense, isn't it? Everyone knows you eat a whole chicken every day, you're going to get fat. You don't walk to school, or you don't ride your bike, or you don't kick a ball around in the back garden, you're going to get fat. And I think part of the problem is, I don't think anyone's been brave enough to say it this morning, I'll say it, is fat parents giving their kids the same amount of food that they eat. Tommy doesn't eat too much, he just eats what we eat. Well, yeah, you're a 40-year-old man and you're quite big and you're giving your kid the same size portion. That's where the problem is. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call on that, you've still got time as well to call in. Are cyclists a menace? Lots of you think they are. We've had a few cyclists who are going, whoa, hey, whoa, hang on a second. No. It's the cars that are the menace. April, I think it was, suggested that that drivers cycle for a bit. She suggested a year. I think that's too much. That's ridiculous. But I do think it's good that drivers should have a couple of days where they go out on bikes and ride through towns and know what it's like to be on a bike and to be very close to cars. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
If you're going into London on the A1, along the Barnet bypass through Boreham Wood, we've got queuing traffic. There was a police incident slightly earlier this morning at Stirling Corner. All lanes have now been reopened, but they had lane 3 closed off for a short time, and that means it's looking busier than you might expect around there. The A10 through Cheshunt, that's slow from College Road toward Winston Churchill Way and down to the M25. Though the M25 is actually looking pretty decent at the minute. We've got no real queues through the roadworks. A404 along Marlow Hill and into High Wycombe is looking slow. Delays on the A41 in Aylesbury, a little bit busy from the Oxford Road roundabout down toward the Walton Street roundabout, and the A413 equally looking a little bit slow around the New Road junction. Busy on the A5 in Dunstable with slow-moving traffic from the Ashton Middle School toward the A505 at Church Street and the West Street traffic light. Hitchin, slow on the A602 eastbound, and up at the Black Cat roundabout you've got delays on the A1 southbound coming from St Neots. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yeah. Right, it's 8:46. I'm getting excited. We'll have some live music soon, and I've seen the music next door, and it's looking very exciting. It's Friday, the 14th of June. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The number of British children admitted to hospital for obesity-related conditions has quadrupled over the last 10 years. The case of a couple from Dunstable accused of selling fake bomb and drug detectors to governments around the world is due to conclude at the Old Bailey. In sport, England's cricketers need to win their final Champions Trophy group match against New Zealand on Sunday to progress to the semi-finals after a 7-wicket defeat to Sri Lanka at the Oval last night. Coming up, bongos.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, the cloud there is quite thick. Hertfordshire also seeing some fairly thick cloud, but Bedfordshire continuing with some sunny spells. Now that thick cloud actually just has a few showers with it, so it looks like the three counties could well see some showers in the next little while, but they're clearing off towards the northeast all the time. And behind it we're looking at a bright and breezy afternoon with top temperatures of 18, perhaps 19 Celsius in the best of any brighter, sunnier spells. And the breeze will be picking up, but if you can get into the sunshine it should feel quite pleasant. Should be a fine evening then through this evening, but through the night the breeze continues to pick up, the cloud will thicken up too, and that's bringing us some rain by the early hours of tomorrow morning. It's in from the west, it's clearing away by about dawn off towards the east, and behind it a few scattered showers to come in through the morning tomorrow. Then a lot of dry weather, but then there's a bit of question mark over whether potentially Bedfordshire, for instance, could see some further showers for the afternoon. So cater for some showers, I think, in the afternoon, but a lot of dry weather tomorrow, bright and breezy once more, and a top temperature of 18 Celsius. Sunday, a little bit more questionable. We do have a dry start. We've got some sunshine for a time, but cloud is increasing and it looks like we'll see some rain by the end of the afternoon. The timing of that is a little bit uncertain. We will keep you posted right here on BBC Three Counties Radio. There you go then, that's your weather.
Thank you very much.
Every weekday morning, questions are asked.
What should the government do next to stop people smoking? Who do you blame for our failing high streets?
Opinions are formed.
There is no place in a civilised society for people like that.
They should get real.
Part of me says it is wrong.
And you get to have your say.
I think the whole thing is absolute garbage, frankly.
Join in with the big phone-in from 9.
Not everyone will agree. What an interesting conversation.
The JVS Show, weekday mornings from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right, we've been talking about cyclists this morning, and then I don't quite know... How on earth did this idea come up, Justin?
I've got no idea. You're talking about tandems, yeah?
Suddenly it was... I think maybe I suggested we go out for a bike ride. It's one of those things, you have a good idea, but you hope it won't actually happen. You suggested a tandem.
Yeah.
And then we've got a tandem. Where are you?
At 8:10, a random conversation about a tandem. Here I am in Luton. I'm with Mark Chapman. Now, Mark phoned your show earlier on at about 8:20. He's from Sight Concern in Bedfordshire. I'm here with Mark and Iain, and you're not going to believe this, we are here with a tandem
Beautiful.
as well. I'm looking at this beast. Listen to that go, Mark. How much is this tandem worth?
We were told it was about 800 new, but we got it after, because it was for donations and things, for 260.
Yeah. Now, Iain and I, of course, we want to go out onto the roads to find out what it's really like for a cyclist. You seriously don't mind if we borrow this piece of kit?
That's fine. Maybe around a park first, rather than the roads.
So warm up first. And these seats, as you can tell by my legs, I am quite tall. Ian's even lankier. So we need to know, do these seats come up?
The seats go right up. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
And last question, very important question. Got Queen on in the background, the bicycle song. Are we going to survive?
I hope so. I'd like the bike to, at least.
Yeah. He's not sounding so confident now, is it? He was all cocky when he phoned us up, just.
He's now worried.
Yeah, I've got a tandem, got it for charity. So, now he's starting to panic a little bit.
I know, I'm starting to panic as well. So we are going to borrow this tandem. We are going to be going out into the streets. A lot of cyclists are saying, well, you don't know what it's like out there. Well, we're actually going to try it for ourselves. And here's a phone-in for Monday, actually.
Yeah, yes.
Unfortunate names. Mark Chapman here. And Mark used to work in a record store. It could be a phone in that for Monday. What do you think? Unfortunate names.
For those who don't get connection, of course, Mark Chapman was the gentleman, not this gentleman, but was the gentleman who shot John Lennon. I went to college with Mark Chapman's cousin, the gentleman who shot John Lennon's cousin.
Wow.
Casey Chapman. And I made a joke that I don't think is appropriate to say on the radio, so I'll end that conversation there.
Surprise me.
Thank you very much. We'll speak to you later on.
Yeah, thank you, Iain.
Ta-ta, there we go. Well, that's it. I've talked myself into riding a tandem. What could possibly go wrong? Now, I like to end the show with a little bit of music on a Friday. You're the music. We're joined by the music. Ascala Selassie. Have I got that right?
That's me. Yeah, that's right.
Listen, you've come in. I've got to say, you smell wonderful, baby. You smell... We normally get sweaty, smoky, dirty old councillors coming and sitting on that chair. You smell fragrant and gorgeous.
Yeah, I came to bless up the vibes and bless up the airwaves and bless up the room, obviously, my smell.
The vibes, the airwaves and the room have been blessed up by you. Now, listen, you've brought a tiny drum with you. What's going on?
This drum?
Yeah.
Good things come in small packages, I'll tell you, and this is very powerful.
Is that a bongo?
Yeah, it's called a kete drum.
It's
a different type of drum.
Okay, and where is it from? What's its heritage?
Well, it's an African drum, and my faith is Rastafari. Right. So when we give praises, we beat the drums, and these kind of drums are the ones that we beat.
You're going to sing a couple of songs for us.
I am.
What's the first one you got for us?
I'm going to sing one of my original tracks in acoustic style.
Oh, okay.
It's called Put Ja First. You can see like the glamorous video on YouTube if you go and look, but this is cutting it way back and just stripping it bare to just the drums and me.
Let's have it. Away you go.
Okay. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, who was and who is and who has come. Put Jah first in everything you do. Put Jah first, is him who guides the true. Put Jah first. Put Jah first, put Jah first in everything you do. Put Jah first, is him who guides us true. Put Jah first, put Jah first. If you put Jah in your life, he will guide you through, he will guide you. And if you call out on his name, he will run to you, he will see you through all troubles and your pain. Remember, He's chosen you, He has chosen you, so don't you ever forget it. Almighty Jah, He loved you, He loved you. Put Jah first in everything you do. Put Jah first, is Him who guides the truth. Put Jah first, ooh, put Jah first. Put Jah first in everything you do. Put Jah first, is Him who guides the truth. Put Jah first, ooh, put Jah first. So don't you glorify yourself or try to put yourself above Jah, above Jah. Don't run after lust and wealth, cause them things, they won't help ya, my brother. Remember who you are, Jah, your shining star. Come on and shine your light near and far. Put Jah first in everything you do. Put Jah first, is Him who guides the truth. Put Jah first, ooh, put Jah. Put Jah first in everything you do. Put Jah first, is Him who guides the truth. Put Jah first, ooh, put Jah first. Put Jah first in every little thing you do. Put Jah first in every little thing you do. Put Jah first in every little thing you do. Put Jah first in every little thing you do. Put Jah first.
Oh, fantastic! That was brilliant. I did, when she came in, I rather rudely, I said, you are quite good, aren't you? Because we don't want any old tosh on it. That was fantastic.
Was it? You
gave
like
that drama a good whack at the end.
Good. I told you that. It's very powerful.
Taught that thing a lesson.
I did.
Listen, if people, you say you're on YouTube, can people buy your music and get your music elsewhere and things?
Yes, you can buy my music on iTunes.
Yes.
This song that I just sung is like the main single for my EP, which is called Put Jah First.
Yep.
So you can go on iTunes and buy it. It's not downloadable for free anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, listen, but you should make some money out of it.
I know, but I love it.
As long as you're putting Jah first.
As long as you're putting Jah first,
exactly.
Nothing else matters. So you can go on YouTube and look at all my many videos and, support me on Singer Ascala Selassie on Facebook. So Singer Ascala Selassie fan page. Like me.
Well, that sounded a little bit desperate there.
Me, please.
That sounds too desperate. You don't need that. Listen, it was fantastic. We've got a minute and a half. Can you can you squeeze another song in?
I can squeeze another song in, of course.
Squeeze another song in. What have you got for us?
As I said, I came to bless the airwaves. So this song's called Have Faith.
Let's have it.
Oh na 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 na, yeah. Have faith. Have faith in the morning and faith in the evening too. You gotta have Jah in your life. Yes, He makes you satisfied. Have faith at night time and faith in the afternoon. Yes, He makes you feel fine. He's always by you. Let me tell you, Jah give me strength every day. Him my honor and obey. I'm walking down the right road, I tell you. Jah give me faith all the time. He's always on my mind. Cause Jah love so tender and kind. Jah is the only King of Kings. Show Him the blessings because it's the right thing to do. Praise Almighty Jah if you're near or far. Jah is always walking with you. Have faith in the morning and faith in the evening too. You gotta have Jah in your life. Yes, He makes you satisfied. Have faith at night time and faith in the afternoon. Yes, He makes you feel fine. He's always by your side.
Oh, fantastic! So you quite like this Jah, then, don't you? I'm picking that up.
Yeah.
Hey, that's. And very quickly, you're off to Italy tomorrow.
I am. I've got a show on which I'm headlining in Italy. So if anyone's listening in Lecce and south of Italy, it's going to be beautiful.
Very, very popular over there.
Come
very popular.
and enjoy the show in Lecce tomorrow. Scala Selassie. It's going to be great.
You got a cracking voice. Thank you so much for coming in. A, for doing some good music, and B, just for smelling nice. It's nice. We need more nice smelling people in here. That was a Scala Selassie. This is Adam Glynn.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Cheers, Iain. A1 through Boreham Wood. We've got queues after a police incident earlier this morning at Stirling Corner. They did have a lane closed off. It's reopened now, but the queues remain. The A10 busy through Cheshunt from College Road toward Winston Churchill Way. Still slow moving down toward the M25, though once you get onto the motorway, you're looking fine, whether you're heading off toward Essex or going through the roadworks section. The A404, now northbound through Marlow and up toward High Wycombe, we've got queues. It's looking busy up toward the M40, though again, once you're on the motorway, everything runs quite well. A41 in Aylesbury, busy between the Oxford Road roundabout and the A413. The A5 through Dunstable is a bit busy from Regent Street toward the A505. In Leighton Buzzard, it's slow moving on Leston Road, the A4146. And the A602 in Hitchin is looking a tad busy between the A505 and London Road. Train departure boards at the minute are showing no major problems or delays. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties
Thanks,
Radio.
Adam. Have a good weekend. Well, you heard of Scarlett there. You think you could have a go? Do you want to come and be a Friday morning music act? You can have a go if you want. Send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. I'm back on Monday. JVS is up next. Ta-ta.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon Smith. And on today's Big Phone In, we've learned today that more than 1 in 5 children under the age of 11